Okay, so it should have activated by now.
Why does Disintegrate have a damage buff in PvP? Oh my god.
Okay.
Well,
I'm just listening to
as far
myself
as I
now.
understand it, actually, people don't use beam rifle anymore. It's just it's underperforming.
It might have actually stealth nerfed the
Well,
Disintegrate
they
mechanic.
they well, it was affected. It had been nerfed to some degree. The main reason that they used it is because of the fact that Lancer shot had the 8-second stun on it, or whatever it
Okay.
was, or
I
4-second
turned
stun.
myself down a little bit.
Yeah, this. I really don't think a lot of blasts are gonna end up in.
Well, how does everybody else sound?
CJ sounds okay. I'm really loud though, so I'm turning myself down.
Wolvel, can you say something?
Volvo died.
Wolvel's just
Rip.
gone.
That's
No,
a
sorry,
shame.
sorry. What'd you say?
I said, can
Well,
you say something?
we
Yeah,
were
what's up?
mourning your death.
I wasn't dead.
Should we keep mourning it or like move on
But
from that?
it just we're trying
We
to
should
do
move on.
we're trying to do audio balance is what the thing is.
I sound great. I know I
I
sound
love
good.
it.
I feel like I should be turned up a lot though.
He,
Okay, I think we're okay.
You want me to sound blast the stream with your voice?
I think that he needs to be louder with his mouth open.
Can I get
Well, he's so loud
some?
that whenever he speaks, it's just horrible static
Can
that deafens everyone.
Okay,
I get 40
so
3D 3D
everybody
3D
sounds
enabled?
all right, Mez, like
Yeah.
me, everybody else.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so where do we begin? Blaster,
Gentlemen.
right? Blaster's the be-all end-all of all
Should we
ranged
just
DPS.
go for the ones that we think are S tiers?
To start off,
Well, the S
Yeah.
tier is obviously Psychic Blast. To me. I don't really know if anything else contends with that.
I think that you also said that Side Art was better DPA.
Yeah, no, you
And-
pick Side Art these days. You pick
Okay.
Side Art, Telekinetic Blast, Will Dom, Silence, and then Psychic Whale, and that's all you need.
We skip these other garbage powers, which is a plus.
Well, and
course.
also, I mean, I didn't say it, but you always pick up your aim, so Psychic Focus, but... I mean,
Yeah, Side
Psyblast
Tornado's
just has
terrible.
everything you want. It has... The fact that the animations work with delayed damage means that you have proper burst damage, you have a good attack chain, your damage type is superior to everything else because there's only, like, you know, one enemy in the game in particular that really resists your damage,
It
which
has
is
10.
robots.
Yeah. Unless for some reason you find yourself doing an architect mission
With
where
dark
every
armor?
enemy is dark armor.
Yeah, that's true. But the
Yeah,
tier
but
9,
then
man, the tier 9 is just so superior to everything else.
I mean, you can use it in your chain. There's not much else that can compete with
It's
that.
so fast that you can use it in the chain. It does high damage. It's got stun on it, which a lot of other moves in different power sets also stun, so it synergizes that way. It you know, that there's no like end lag on it at all. So you use it and you immediately go back to attacking. And in a world in which blasters can have Rise of the Phoenix, there's no detriment to you going into the mob and using it, because if you die, you're just going to get back up with Rise of the Phoenix and continue damaging the mob and get out for free and then just go back to that.
It's a blaster meta. Psy meta.
Yeah. It just
mean,
has
there's-
everything that you would want.
Yeah, and the one of the bigger things it has that you want is that you can skip powers. You can just
Yeah,
straight
you
up
can
skip
skip
stuff.
Psy Tornado, Scramble Thoughts, you skip Mental Blast. That's 3 power choices that mean that you can pick anything else that you want. And it, you know, since they changed it so that you can have other powers earlier, that just makes it even better. So, skippable
Yeah,
powers.
obviously.
Because
Yeah.
Scramble Thoughts is a skip, it doesn't benefit from it as much as other sets, but still, Sidewheel at 26.
Of course.
If we're strictly talking to choices between primary and secondary, but it makes it easier for you to fit in your pool powers that way,
Yeah.
which is important. So, It has a superior damage typing, great attack chain. It actually has the ability to do awesome burst damage because if you properly do your chain, you can delay the damage hit to get like 2 or 3 attacks hitting at the same time. Amazing nuke. I mean, skippable powers. What more could you ask for? That's like primo blast set right there.
Plus, you have pay to win damage type.
Yeah. So I personally think Psy is an S undisputed as a blaster. So this is strictly speaking as a blaster.
The only real mark against Psy is against enemies that don't have lots of resistances. It's not the number 1 damage.
Yeah. But you have to speak of things in a general sense.
Who on this team is killing Statesman? Obviously the Psy Blaster.
The Psy Blaster, that's the only one who can kill Statesman. No, I think overall, in a general sense, Psy is an S tier blast set. Versus, obviously we're talking PvE content here, but yeah.
Well, I mean, like, if Will Domination had Defender scaling, then the set would just be ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it has reduced damage scale. But if it
if it kept the boosted TK blast and the Will Dome.
Yeah, like if they did the standard damage that the
just make all the powers do more damage.
No, just the you know what I mean. The ridiculous.
No, but Will Dom lost power and they buffed telekinetic blast in return. TK blast is really weak on corrupted defense.
Yeah, but we get
strongest
boosted,
attack on.
We get boosted Will Dom too, because this is the blaster. Obviously, your tier 2 attack is going to be strong.
There's an interesting tech that you can do with Will Dom since it's a sleep move. You can slot the Fortunata's chance for placate in it.
It goes off pretty well, doesn't it?
If you slot it correctly.
It's mostly a PvP trick though. Just get people
mostly, yeah. But it would still work in regular content too.
We benefit from it.
Is there any other blast for a blaster that contends with Psy for an S tier spot? I don't think that there is.
Yeah, Ice. I would put Ice up there.
You're
too.
thinking Ice is S tier?
Well, because of the attack chain speed. And the utility of Blizzard.
I definitely think it's very strong as an A tier. But I don't know about S.
What do you think, Mez? You're the deciding verdict here.
He has to be because Wolvel doesn't know anything.
Wolvel doesn't give a shit. He presses buttons and does big damage.
I know how to press buttons.
He asked us, does this do big damage? And if we say no, he's like, fuck that set.
There is one thing that Ice can do that Psy and Fire cannot. You can proc the hell out of it.
That is true.
Hmm.
And I would say that Blizzard is pretty incredible utility, especially if you're living in a burnout meta.
It does have a lot going for it, where
You got
when you
skippable crap
pop
in it too.
when you pop Blizzard, you can just keep blasting.
Yeah. Frost Breath, Bitter Freeze Ray are skippable. Honestly, if you're in a pinch, even Ice Storm is skippable.
Yeah,
I don't even know if I'd take Ice Storm, but that's my personal preference.
Like, Blizzard is just doing all the work for you. And if you really need it back, you've got Burnout. It's the same situation as Psy, where, like, the nuke is just gonna do all the AoE work for you.
So I can see that on Ice, mainly because it's fast animation times, you got a good attack chain, great proc ability, your tier 9 is awesome, skippable powers. I think the only thing that held it back in my mind from calling it an S versus a strong A+ is the damage type. Sorry, what'd you say?
I was gonna say no true snipe.
Yeah, it doesn't have a snipe. But you kind of...
Wait, it doesn't have a snipe?
No.
Yeah,
You don't
because The
don't
only
have this
version of
stupid
Ice
ring?
Blast that you have played is Frost Breath Ice Blast. That is the only version of Ice
you mean
Blast
Vexen?
you have played.
Oh,
No, it doesn't have a snipe, but it makes up for it by having like 1 second attack chains. Unless you take Freeze Ray, but
Look,
I really don't
I'll
think
just
you'd
say-
bother.
If we're fighting the Winter Nobles, I'd rather
No,
have
yeah,
Psyblock.
fucking-
But if we're fighting
But
the Fleshlings,
that's a
I'd
fall.
But if we're fighting the
That's
Fleshlings, I'd rather be Ice Blast.
But see, that's what I was saying earlier. You can't talk about things in terms of exceptions. This is a general
No, I'm just
case.
speaking to the core strengths of the set because the attack chain, it has probably
But-
the best core in the game.
Yeah, and I'm also kind of saying that like I feel like damage type isn't as important, except for like smashing lethal, because you can always craft a villain group that highly resists any one damage.
Yeah, it should go without saying that
I
the
think if- I
the
think if we
analysis
started-
here.
If we started running torchlights a lot earlier than we did, I don't know if we put Psy on the pedestal that we do now.
I
Nah,
s-
Psy
no
would still be
no
up there.
I still put it up there. See, because here's the thing. Ice does have good damage with its attack chain, but there is no way in heck that you can compare to the burst power of Psy Whale.
dude,
Yeah,
me and
'cause
Aaron,
you have upfront damage with your nuke.
running through that mission. I forget what the fuck it was. I think it was.
It is
dope.
pretty incredible, especially when you start to stack Psy Blast.
Just Psy Whales
But
on
I
top
would
of
say-
Psy Whales.
Well, I would say Ice has the same stack ability, which is one reason why I wouldn't put Fire just straight up in S. Is
No, I don't
because if
think
you s-
I don't think Fire's an S.
No, it doesn't. The set doesn't synergize with itself if there's another Fire Blaster.
But
Wait,
that's
really?
but that's what I'm.
And
Sorry, go ahead.
one other thing also is that Blizzard hits more than 16 targets.
Yes.
Oh, no shot.
Damage falls off as you go above 16, but it's not a binary like every other. Well, except I guess the exception would be technically Rain of Arrows, but even Rain of Arrows, the curve hits a lot harder than
The
Blizzard.
main exception is that your damage hits over 15 seconds, Wobble.
Damn.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
it's not.
so think of it more like if we had
So when
to
the-
if we had to approximate it, like from SWOTR, Psy is a more burst DPS spec, whereas Ice is a more consistent DPS spec.
Yeah. So ice would function better in a fully saturated Pooh River.
Yeah, I think
Oh
Psy
yeah,
and
it
Ice
wouldn't even be
should-
comparable. Ice would be top tier versus Psy in that scenario.
yeah. I think Ice and Psy should both be S, but for different reasons.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just speaking to all the different strengths that the two sets have.
If you guys think it's S, I can see that. I still, in my heart of hearts, somehow feel like it's more of an A+, but that's my own opinion.
I just feel that it has very similar utility scaling, like how Psy does.
Just for different reasons.
Yeah. The only downside is that because your chain is so fast, you do need the you end up in a fire blast situation
Oh,
Where
what do you
N
mean
just
by
fucks
that?
Itself.
because like fire blast, blazing bolt, you need really high recharge to make that.
Mm.
Yeah,
Work,
Ice
and you
is
need
a
the same
bit
thing
more
with-
forgiving, but well, it's a delicate balance because you don't want to put too much recharge in your powers because of the procs.
That's why you have global recharge.
Yeah, so you need global recharge specifically for Ice Blood.
Yeah.
But I think it's a bit more generous. I don't think you need the recharge like you do with Fire. Fire, you need like over 200 global.
Hmm.
That's when you break out the adrenaline boost, baby.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Psy and Ice has S tier the blast.
Alright.
Now
Now that S is done,
let me.
we move on to top of A.
Can I? Let me see
Well,
something here.
Should we be doing it in this order, or should we just be going down the list? Because I feel like
I don't have
once
a-
we
I-
pass A, because we have an idea of what the S's are and what the A's are, but after
No,
that,
I've talked. I said this that we're gonna have like S, A, B, C, and then straight to F.
I don't know. There might be a D.
No, there's no D.
Okay, hold on.
The blast sets are less. They're less difficult than armor sets.
Trying to, because I don't have a tier maker thing here.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me make the thing bigger.
Top of A.
So, Psi, Ice, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. A tiers. Let me put this down. All right, so I think fire definitely belongs here.
Fire is A. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm just gonna
Fire is
write them
great
down.
damage.
I'm just gonna write them down. This is not ordered. So
Yeah.
I think fire belongs here.
Fire is great damage without anything special.
Yeah. It's just
It's
front
just solid
damage.
damage.
I think I'd put seismic here too.
Yeah, seismic's in A. I agree with that.
Mhm.
And after that,
And this is where it gets a bit more complicated. Do you think radiation is A or top of B? Because of all the energy sets, I truly do think that radiation is the best.
I'd put radiation at the end of A.
Okay.
I think that's fair. Because that radiation blast has done a lot of work that I had.
It also has incredible scalability, which is really
I mean,
surprising.
if you have enough recharge, your attack chain is essentially Cosmic Burst Proton Volley.
Yeah, that's the crazy part.
Yeah.
Snipe
it's-
heavy attack.
It's short recharges, long animation times.
All right, let's see. I think that might be the end of A.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
Well, actually, what's your opinion on Dark Blast?
Mm,
Do you think it's A?
It has been a while since I've really played with Dark.
I would say Dark kind of lacks. Gloom is strong, but after you get past Gloom and the Snipe, Abyssal Gaze and Life Drain are kind of lacking in the damage department versus other sets, especially with the animation times.
I know how to evaluate that. Okay, you ready for this? Dark Blast is like if we took Ice and removed all the good animation times about it,
That's kind of what happens.
and then gave it a bad tier 9. Well, Black Star is not a bad tier 9. I mean in the sense that
The
you know,
utility is strong, but
it's slow and it doesn't have the same impact as Blizzard where I can just pop it and then like I'm still blasting. So
yeah.
yeah,
And they did lower Gloom's damage compared to other archetypes.
Okay. So for the A tier, we got Fire, Seismic, and Rad. So now the question is, who is where? And I think I'm pretty fair to say that Rad is at the end of A.
Yeah, I think it goes Fire, Seismic, Rad.
You think Fire is better than Seismic?
If we're talking about just raw damage on a single target, yes.
Yeah.
Fire is higher than Seismic, and Fire is less complicated than Seismic to achieve that damage.
Yeah. Well, so then...
But when you talk about AoE, Fire sucks. Fire has no AoE.
It's
Inferno
funny
and
you say that
Fireball.
because of, like, well, Fireball.
I mean, you have Fireball, yeah, but you know.
Okay,
That's
so
it.
so then you say...
versus Seismic. I don't
Yeah.
mean AoE like versus Psy and Ice. I just mean versus Seismic.
Seismic has more
It
AoE.
cannot compare.
Well, so... Okay, so you say Fire is the top of A, and I think it's easy to see why. You got Fire Blast, Blaze, Blazing Bolt. That's like the bread and butter of every ranged attack combination there is.
And it is the highest damaging core with capped recharge.
We talked about Ice being consistent damage. I mean, Fire is the epitome of consistent damage. You don't-
Yeah, the only downside is to achieve your chain, you need all that recharge.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to throw out Fireball though, because it's a 1-second activation.
You don't need to do any fancy mechanics. You don't need to do anything spectacular. It's just you have all of your damage up front. Just continue blasting.
Yep. It's straightforward.
And
no
another
mechanics.
side benefit as well is that any damage buff that you have will enhance the dots that your
Yes.
fires tick with too. So that's also
And the
a
dots
side
will
benefit.
stack independently as well,
Yeah.
which is really strong.
But the thing to hold it back from an A is
S, you mean?
or yeah, from an S is it actually has pretty bad procability. Inferno, while it does do good damage, is really slow.
It's awful.
You know, you hop in, you come back out, it takes a while for you to get out of animation.
It has no
Um,
secondary effect either.
Your secondary effect is
it's more
plus
damage,
damage.
but- I don't know. I think Inferno though is actually still one of the better Novas. Because even though it is slow, it is like by far the highest damaging of them.
Yeah, it does good. It does do good damage. It's just really slow. Well, see, because I just in the same time that some dude is gonna pop in there in Inferno, I've done Psy Whale and I've already hit 2 attacks.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is that we start to get into sets that are held back by slow nuke.
It really
Like Seismic.
and see like Ice, it doesn't have that problem because even though you have to animate to do the blizzard, right? You're gonna make up for it by the fact that the blizzard damage is happening at the same time that now I'm blasting. So it's like I make
Yeah.
up the difference. Fire
Yeah,
can't do
and also
that.
like the DOT makes it look like I got all the kills in the whole mob. So
Yeah, that's the important part.
Kill stealing
who's
makes
on the
it
kill
really,
feed?
Really strong, yeah.
Whose
Really?
name's
Oh
on the
my
kill
God.
feed?
Well, if I remember correctly, it's Wolvel's name. He killed the dummy.
I killed the.
I killed the dummy.
Yeah. So in
Stole
terms
it.
of Fire being the top of A, it's really because Fire has the quintessential attack
Yeah.
chain of any other blast set. Like it's the standard. It's got solid damage. It doesn't have a secondary effect necessarily, but it does do dots. Even though Inferno is slow, it does still do good damage. It's got a reasonable amount of AoE with its single target attack chain. It just has the highest damage output out of the sets below what should be placed in A.
Yeah.
So now when you come over to
it doesn't have
Seismic,
that kicker.
when you come over to Seismic, it's kind of a similar story, but you have more AoE. You actually have another heavy-hitting blast when you get the whatever the mechanic is called, the tremor triggers for the stalagmite.
Yes.
I've been very happy with it for Corruptor, but that's a side discussion for outside of Blaster. But
I mean, the function of the set is very similar,
Me and
just because
me
of
and,
how powerful Rock Shards and Upthrust is together. If you need just AoE into the mob.
Yeah. Well, this is like, but that's why Fire's above it, because Seismic just does less. Single.
Yeah. It has
I
less
do
cross-angle.
like its damage output, and I also like the fact that it does do a little bit of minus defense.
Yes.
I like the ability to have a heal slotted, and you
It's
know, with
pretty good
Meteor,
minus defense.
with Meteor, you can do the Rain of Arrows trick where you lay down Meteor, and then when it's coming down, you charge up your snipe, and you do the slow sniper shot with the Meteor
Yeah.
hitting, and you get some burst damage. So, it does require more effort
can't-
than Fire, though.
You can't use Meteor in rotation either. Unless you're hitting a shitload of targets.
I mean, you can. It's just it'll hurt your core.
It's suboptimal AF.
But it is a targeted AoE nuke, and anything that doesn't ask you to try and joust or to go into the mob is great.
Yeah. That's another great thing.
And if
for
you
it. Like,
and if you
it's
don't
low
want
risk.
to, if you don't want to lose your build up to the mechanic where it does the recharge, you have to micromanage jumping.
Yeah, that's also why it's below Fire, is that there's a bit more mechanic management for slightly less in terms of single target.
But it does
Oh, yeah,
do
and
solid
also-
damage.
There's the fact that I'm pretty sure Meteor cannot benefit from Gaussians.
Yeah,
The
because
delay
it's a
is too long.
pseudo pet. Well, oh, right, the delay because it has to come
It's a
down
pseudo
and hit
pet
or
with
it
a
loses
long
it.
delay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it has comparable damage and superior AoE than Rad, which is why it's above Rad, and it belongs in the A tier, but it's lower than
Yeah.
Fire because you have to micromanage your mechanics if you want to play it effectively. You don't have your damage up front, like all of your damage, because you only
Yeah.
get the Stalagmite proc when you get all those things. So your damage will be below Fire, like over time, because you don't have access to that all the time. But you still have competent single target damage and AoE.
Yeah, and if you're in AE Hell, Upthrust has minus flight,
Yeah.
which is spammable.
And as was stated earlier, I think I'd already mentioned it, but the evaluation of all of this is based on the idea of if you're running like hard mode AE content, not
Yeah.
necessarily clearing +0 × 8 or whatever the heck the usual metric is.
Yeah, 4-star or like hard.
Yeah, because honestly,
AE,
radio
scary
mission meta,
AE.
fire and ice would probably be S, and side being A or B.
Yep.
Yeah. But Radiation Blast. This is almost my baby at this point.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, like, what more can you say? Radiation Blast has a solid attack chain, the same as Fire does. Because even if you don't have enough recharge for the Proton Volley Cosmic Burst, X-Ray Beam is not terrible as the third.
Yeah, that's fine. The damage could be a little bit higher compared to the other .67s, but
Yeah. It's a set that comes baked in with defense, which means it has the same benefits that Seismic does, but a little bit better because the whole set is minus defense, as opposed to Seismic, which is only a few. Its AoE is a little bit lackluster. Irradiate is not really a AoE attack. That thing is a debuff. It does a heavy amount of minus defense, but you don't use it for AoE. The best that I found is Electron Haze, truthfully. Neutron Bomb, I mean, you could make it work, but Electron Haze ends up being better to me. It suffers the same problem as Fire on its nuke, which is that it's slow, but it still does alright damage.
massive utility.
You have a strong single target attack chain. You can burn down targets. It's great for all level ranges. I mean, I've done Boat with it, which is down to 20 area.
Scalability.
It has
Scalability is a
it has
huge
really good
benefit.
scaling factor. It does have some proc ability due to the fact that since all powers do minus defense, you can fit a Lady Grey in there. It lacks the same impact power as Seismic in terms of AoE. So it's worse than Seismic in that regard. It's worse AoE. But it fits the rest of the sets, meaning Fire and Seismic, in the sense that it has a competent single target attack chain, has good damage from that attack chain, and that's all you really need in a good blast set. So it's almost analogous to Fire, but it's worse than Fire in terms of its single target attack chain, and worse than Seismic in the sense that it doesn't have the same AoE impact. So it ends up being at the bottom of A.
Yeah. But the minus defense is also pretty incredible in this set. The amount that you can stack.
Yeah, having minus defense baked into the blast set, even if the blaster's values get resisted, helps the entire team.
Plus, I mean, this set is made for Achilles heel.
Yeah. So, a very solid set in terms of like a general sense. It's very solid, but it just doesn't have. It needs a little bit more. You know, it's like if you made a dish and it's got salt in it, but it doesn't have enough salt. It needs more. But
Yeah, because Irradiate, a lot of people pick up Irradiate thinking that it's like the greatest thing ever, but it does ask you to go into the mob, which can put you out of position in a really scary situation.
yeah, you don't ever want to do that. If you're going into the mob, it's because you're using Atomic Blast.
Yeah, and when you're using Atomic Blast also ends up having better AoE radius, so you can joust more. The joust ends up being a lot safer than if you're trying to joust Irradiate, which can be awkward.
Yeah. 5 extra feet should not be scoffed at in terms
It's
of
a lot.
radius. Yeah.
But it's like radiation is below seismic and fire because it lacks a little bit of what both of those sets have.
Yeah. It's by no means bad at all, but it just
It's
like I said,
certainly the
it's
strongest
got
energy
it's
set.
got seasoning, it's got salt, but it needs more. I need
Yeah,
more
'cause
salt.
Electron Haze is about your best bet besides Atomic Blast for AoE
Pretty
damage.
good critique. Radiation needs more salt.
Needs more salt. It needs a little bit of
Well, like I
tang.
said, at this point, I've played this set extensively across all different ATs. At this point, it's been, nails in the coffin in
Yeah,
terms
because
of
people
everything.
look at Neutron
My-
Bomb and Irradiate
my-
and think, wow.
My experience with radiation is mostly from a corruptor perspective.
Oh god.
I feel like I'm disappointed by the set, but not to the point where I regret it.
Makes
That's
no
a
sense.
different
That's
discussion.
because
Like,
the Corruptor version
that's a
is
different
totally
discussion. Corruptor is whatever. As a blaster, this is
Purely
completely
for
fine.
Blaster. Yeah. It ends up being the strongest energy blast set too.
It's superior to Energy
Yeah,
Blast.
but look at this competition.
Okay, so that's A. So we got S with Psi and Ice, and you got A with... Oh, did it delete that? Fire, Seismic, Rad.
We're about to have a whole lot of blast sets come up now.
Oh, hold on. Oh, it's doing a weird thing with the window. Okay, I see. Hold on. Okay. Alright, there we go. Okay, so B. What is
Alright,
in the B tier? I think Dark
and-
is fine to put here.
Dark's in B, Beam Rifle's in B, Energy Blast is in B, Water Blast is in B, Sonic.
With the changes.
Man, Sonic still looks terrible with the changes.
That's
My
what I was
God.
alluding to keeping the D tier. I think Sonic's in D.
I was leaning.
You think
towards
Sonic's in
C.
D?
No,
'Cause honestly,
it's closer
I
to
think-
C.
I think Beam and Energy are in C.
Yeah, well,
No,
we're kind of
I-
dumping names here at this point.
I think they go in B. They have like energy for sure is in B. It's like the staple B set. You have a core. Your nuke is bad.
I see what's... Okay, I see what he's saying. Pretty
The only
much,
reason
okay.
I could see the only reason I can see Energy in B is because it has the taser.
No, God dang it,
Taser.
That's not.
No, I know exactly where he's coming from, okay? So, when you do a tier list, like in a fighting game, right? When you get to the B tier means average. And when you really talk about what average means, look at Energy Blast. Energy Blast does have a competent single target attack chain. It does have AoE attacks, but they're average. This is average at best.
Man, its AOE is really bad though.
No, but you see what I'm saying?
I
It
get
does
what you
have,
mean.
like,
Yeah.
Energy
Like,
Torrent.
it-
It does
it
have
checks-
attacks
it-
like that.
It checks all the boxes, but the numbers are just so low, and everything has knockback in it.
Yeah. But that's the thing, though. It has the skeleton, right? It has the skeleton of what could have made it good or could have made it better in A or S. But there's something holding it back. It's just average. That's why he's saying it's a B. So that's the
Yeah, and
evaluation.
It'll be the bottom of B because it's the staple B set.
Well, let's...
like,
Okay, so I'm fine putting Energy here, and I'm fine putting Dark here.
Yeah, beam rifles there.
I would put Electric here, too.
You think it holds up after the changes? Because I was prepared to put it in C.
Yeah.
No,
for
I think
blasters,
it's better than a C.
Really?
No. It has no T3 blast.
Yeah, it's still even with the changes to the way I think the compromise was that you get damage as they
No,
lose endurance.
It is radiation blast, except you don't have cosmic burst.
Yeah, like you have
Maybe my
you
perception is
on-
skewed because of the fact that it's better as a corruptor.
Well,
what
yeah,
ab-
because the rules change.
What
on
about Water
Corruptor.
Blast?
Water Blast
Water is
has
a
a
v-
competence set.
Water is a very interesting, like, almost edge case where it's pretty disappointing single target damage, but it's very good AoE.
I'd put it
Yeah.
in B.
In fact, before Seismic, I would have said Water was the best AoE set.
Yeah, and then they came out with Seismic.
Well, yeah.
And it gets
So
the
you
job
put
done with
water
2
here
powers.
because it's the worst seismic.
Well, yeah. Like I was saying, it's dark, beam, energy, and water for B.
I could see beam rifle being here.
It's like somebody could sit down with beam rifle and look at it and think, "Oh man, the damage is so good." A lot of that though is specifically when Disintegrate is proccing, but a lot of the attacks in the set are really slow, which is not good.
Okay, so energy, dark, water, and beam are here. Now the question is, what order? Who is the best out of the bees?
I would probably
Beam?
put beam rifle at the top of B.
Yeah. Beam rifle does have a lot of good going for it. It's got Lancer shot, it's got a snipe, Disintegrate is great, it's got negative region baked into the entire set. It does have
Piercing beam is nice.
it does have AoE and the Disintegrate spreads.
Targeted nuke.
Yeah,
which is
Overcharge
nice.
is another targeted AoE nuke, which means that you
Really
don't have to
weak
go
without-
in.
Yeah, it's really weak, but it can spread Disintegrate.
The main thing holding it back is, dude, you animate for 1,000,000 years.
Yeah, it is a slower set, but it tries to make up for that damage with Disintegrate.
Yeah.
The only problem is you suffer so badly when it comes to dealing damage that isn't single target.
Yeah, cutting beam. It's just.
Electron Haze just takes a dump on cutting beam. Completely takes a dump on it.
You know, it's got all the same
I
stuff
mean-
that we talked about prior. It's just the long animation times and.
You're reliant on Disintegrate proc to make up for your animation times.
Yeah. Sorry, were you gonna say something, Mez?
Nah, never mind.
You know, because I just think
Curious.
about it. If I had a beam rifle blaster attacking an AV, standing next to a fire blaster, I know for a fact I would be watching the fire blaster just attacking all the time, and like throwing out more blasts per second than the beam would. The beam would be holding up its gun, shoot, hold up a gun, shoot, and the fire blast is
Yeah.
already chucking like three different attacks. So. I don't really think that there's anything complicated to the evaluation. It's just it still does reasonable competent damage. It's got negative region baked into its attacks. It does have some AoE and it has a solid attack chain. It's just it's slow animation, not the same amount of damage output.
Yeah. Well, also a lot of your damage numbers again are reliant on Disintegrate.
Okay, so beam is is at the top of the B.
Yep.
So now the question is, you got energy, dark, and water.
I think water's next.
You think water's better than dark?
Yeah. Mostly because the single target damage ends up being the same, but you have way higher AoE.
Yeah.
The only thing that would edge out dark over water in terms of single target is just straight up gloom. But that's it.
Yeah.
They have comparable single target.
Yeah, so I kind of get where you're coming from here. So one of the major benefits to having Water Blast is the fact that, okay, if I live in a world where my nuke has to be slow, like I don't get a fast nuke, right? Then it's
Yeah.
always better if my nuke is a targeted AoE, because I don't have to go in. And Water
Plus-
has that.
With the way Tidal Forces works, you can make the nuke hit extremely hard.
Yeah.
Which makes up for the fact that some targeted AoE nukes lose damage because they're targeted AoE.
Water does have some decent procking that you can do in it. Its attack chain is pretty
Yeah.
solid.
Yeah, you can do a decent amount of proccing in water. You can do a lot in dark though.
It doesn't
That's
have a
not a lot,
snipe,
though.
which holds it back severely.
I mean, they both don't have snipes. Well,
Yeah,
well,
Dark-
Dark does have a snipe. I take that back. Dark has Moonbeam.
But in terms of like damage output, Water has far and away superior AoE than Dark could even hope to dream of.
Yeah.
It-
And I mean, while you lose that on the single target with Water, the rest of the set is just extremely competent. Like,
Yeah,
the
it's
single
still
target is not bad. It's just gonna be slightly lower than Dark because Dark has a snipe.
yeah. But on an average, you know, Beam Rifle probably does higher damage per hit on its attack chain, but with its animation time compared to Water, which, you know, you get the 1 second water jet and then can do it immediately, it probably ends up averaging out.
Yeah. And
So-
also, it trades in a snipe for having, like, some of the best AoE next to Seismic.
Yeah. But its power level in terms of damage output is a little bit less, which is why it's down 1 tier.
Yeah.
Because Seismic also still has a snipe, so I mean,
That's
it's
also because boosted rock shards is dumb.
yeah, that's true.
It's really strong.
Yeah, I think that's entirely fair. You know, it's a pretty simple perspective again. You know, Water has solid attack changes the same as the rest of them, and it's got some good AoE, but it's in terms of its damage output, it's less than the other sets, and you know, that just seats it nicely inside of the B right after Beam. Okay, so you got Beam, you got Water at number 2. Is Dark better than Energy?
Yeah. That's not hard to say.
I think that's fair.
You got Gloom, Moonbeam, and then you make up not having something like Power Burst with procced out Abyssal Gaze.
Yeah, you use Abyssal Gaze. Dark, if you play Dark, you're pretty much hard committing to I am a single target only set that will use Black Star once in a while.
Yeah, you gotta get good at jousting Black Star because that is strong utility.
It's a great nuke. You know, the negative to hit is awesome, and it does do competent. I mean, it's the same idea as Inferno, but you know, we talked about it before, the slow nuke. If I have to be in a world where I have a slow nuke, it always
Yeah.
would be better if it was a targeted AoE nuke.
Well, also in a team setting, if I have any of the previous blasters that we've talked about, and we get to B tier, and I have to pick like Water versus Dark, I'll probably pick up the Water as the second blaster, which is something to think about.
Yeah. It's
'Cause
got
the
it.
Water will complement.
It's got a solid single target attack chain, but hardly any AoE at all.
You don't do AoE.
You know, I'm not counting Tenebrous Tentacles.
I mean,
You would
it's
use
bad.
Umbral Torrent. It's Electron Haze. You'd use
Yeah,
Umbral Torrent.
you would convert Umbral Torrent. But it's worse Electron Haze. The damage is lower. The damage bonus stack is not incredible like Electron Haze.
Yeah. But it does have better proc power than Energy does.
Yes, it does. And it also doesn't like you don't have to go out of your way to convert your nuke, which wastes a proc slot. Which is and I bring that up because Peacebringer has the exact same problem with its nuke, where if you don't convert it, it's just a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Scattering the mob 4,000 miles away from your destination is not a good idea, even though people will argue knockback is helping. If you're doing hard content where your nuke is supplementary damage, and you're just scattering everything to the four corners of the earth, that's not helpful.
Yeah, in a world where there's tons of enemies everywhere and they have like sonic dispersion bubbles and like all kinds of stuff, scattering mobs like that is like the worst thing you could do.
It is 100% doomsday, and you're giggling, but you've seen it happen.
Yeah.
When we bring randos in and there's one that's like a storm and they constantly run a hurricane or they're an energy blaster and everything's getting thrown 4,000 miles away from the tank.
Dude, all of a sudden you can't heal anyone because you
And I
have
think
so
there
much
was
minus range.
and I think that there was a time where I think it was Aaron that was tanking, and there was an energy blaster, and the enemies had flight, and they scattered the enemies vertically.
Yeah.
It just makes it so much worse because then you can't keep things grounded for
There's
the
no
tank.
control.
Yeah, anytime enemies have flight and you introduce knockback, it makes it worse.
The only way that would have helped that is if I was on my gravity controller and hit them with crushing field.
Yes, because if there is no minus flight and all you have is knockback as your utility on your team, it's not good.
Forget about it.
It's chaotic.
Yeah. So Dark is fit nicely in here because it still can have competent single target damage output, but it has virtually no AoE outside of its nuke. Its nuke has great utility, but it's slow, takes forever to animate.
And if you have any of the sets above Dark on your team already, and you're gonna add the Dark Blaster or the Energy Blaster to the team, you are better off adding. This is another justification for why Water is above Dark. You're better off adding the Water, because even though they have less single target than Dark, they will complement any of the higher tiered sets more than Dark would.
And this is gonna sound like a really big stretch, but I'm gonna tell you, the fact that Dehydrate heals the blaster actually helps a lot sometimes. Because if the blaster can turret, and if the blaster takes incidental damage, like once in a while, they're healing themselves up. I don't have to
Constantly,
pay
too.
attention to them. It's a big stretch because it's like you don't see it all the time. But if you actually slot Dehydrate and you put a little bit of heal in that alleviates some tension
Slide
from a
hand
support.
in.
Now you could say the same thing with Dark Blast with Life Drain, but that thing takes, I don't know.
It's slower. And
Slower? Yeah, it is slower.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
The animations are similar, but I think Dehydrate heals for more, right?
It's
Nah,
a heal over
Dehydrate is
time.
faster.
Yeah.
Life Drain is really slow.
So there's Dark Blast, and then Energy Blast being the bottom of B is pretty self-explanatory. This is the standard blast set of the entire game.
Take away the dots from something like Fire.
Yeah.
Strip it of any utility of any of the previous sets that we've talked about.
And then also cut its damage by like 30%, and then make it scatter everything.
This is like if a dish was cheese and crackers, and this is just the crackers. We took away the cheese.
There's no flavor. And the nuke is horrible. If you like being forced to waste a slot on an overwhelming force or what's that other set called? The one that converts to knockdown?
Oh, sudden acceleration.
Sudden acceleration. Having to waste a slot on that is awful. Because then your nuke is just worse than every other nuke. And that's not great because this is already a nuke that you're encouraged to joust.
Yeah. I think what you had said there was pretty spot on the nose. Having to waste slots in your powers to stop them from knocking things back is already
Making
a bad
things
sign.
Worse. Yeah. But in terms like if the knockback is not an issue, the raw damage is really basic.
Yeah. It's just vanilla. It does
Yeah,
the damage that it does damage. It's got no secondary effects besides the knockback thing. You have to waste slots to stop the knockback if you don't want to scatter stuff. But it has a good base. Like, it has a skeleton. It's got AoE powers. It's got a single target attack chain. It's got everything that you would want. Just no flavor. You can't proc it out as well as you would want. And so because of that, it's not going to deal as much damage as you want. It's just standard. It's standard. So
Explosive Blast is alright, but it suffers the Neutron Bomb. Actually, it's like Neutron Bomb is already really mediocre. And then you add knockback to it, and then you're just like, this is awful. Completely
yeah.
awful. So energy really has no AoE outside of the nuke.
I guess I accidentally deleted that. Okay, so you go beam, water, dark, energy. Okay. Oh, accidentally made the window big.
That's it for B.
Yep. Now we do C.
Yep. In C, we've got
All right. So C, what's left? We've done Psi, Ice, Fire, Seismic,
So-
Rad.
C is Archery, Electric, and Sonic. Sonic is gonna be bottom of C, and I'll talk about why. But Archery and Electric
Archery.
are fighting for top of C.
Let's see. So the ones remaining are Archery, Assault Rifle, Dual Pistols, Electric, and Sonic. That's it, right?
Yep.
I'm willing to put Electric here. I'm willing to put Sonic here. Yeah, I'd say that sounds alright. I think Archery is probably a C. Yeah, that
Just
seems okay.
because what you want on a blaster versus what you want on a corruptor or defender
Yeah.
is really what defines.
Yeah, no,
Archery.
I'd say that. I think that was right. I think you got that. Archery, Electric, and Sonic being here, I think that's fine. So now the question is of order.
Ah, man.
I would argue Electric is the top.
What do you think, Mez?
Mm,
Who fumbles their way to the top of C?
It's gotta be Electric. No, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking Archery because
It
of
does have Blazing Arrow.
what? Yeah, Archery would have aim shot, blazing arrow, range shot, and rain of arrows, which means that you can do, rain of
gonna
arrows
have
into the
to-
snipe.
I would probably give it to Electric. I would probably end up giving it to Electric. Just because of the damage changes to the sap. Archery... I mean,
I think
yeah.
I think I would give it an Archery, but it's very close. I wouldn't. I won't defend it if you guys both think Electric's better.
It's just that blazing arrow, despite the fact that it's filling out the chain, is slow.
Yeah, but you can say the same thing about radiation.
Look, both of the sets are extremely awkward. They are extremely awkward blast sets. Like, Electric has no tier 3. And then Archery's tier 3 is really weird because the only thing you back it up with is aim shot.
Okay, here's my reasoning for Electric versus Archery, right? Electric, I like its damage typing better, being energy. And then second, if there's any sap at all, then Electric elevates. It gets better because of the damage buff. Archery doesn't have anything like that. The only way to elevate Archery's damage is if you're a Corruptor and you get Scourge. If you're a Blaster, you don't have that.
Yeah, Ball Lightning is also way better than anything Archery's doing outside of Rain of Arrows. Like, Explosive Arrow is bad. Well, Explosive Arrow is okay. It's like, it's Neutron Bomb again. Which is whatever. And then Fistful of Arrows is really, it's Tenebrous Tentacles, but like you have a tighter cone.
Huh. It just straight up deleted the line I made.
And then Stunning Shot is unusable. which is good. I mean, it's skippable.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of these sets have skippable powers in them.
Explosive arrows ends up being your only AoE besides Rain of Arrows.
You're skipping the majority of all of electric, pretty much. You have to take you do charged bolts, lightning bolt, ball lightning, charge up, zap, and then get thunderous blast. It's pretty much your attack chain.
Don't you use Tesla Cage for the mechanic?
Hold on.
They changed Cage, didn't they, Mez? You actually
Yeah,
need
they
it
made
now,
it-
don't
it's-
you?
No, they made it like a weird chaining power, but I think the damage on it's still not great.
They changed that for sentinels. Tesla Cage on a sentinel does like a tier 2 or 3 blast set damage.
You need Tesla Cage to build static, so you have to take Tesla Cage. Otherwise, you can't build static.
Allows you to build static with each activation of other electric blast attacks, and as it builds, you unleash it with Tesla Cage. As electricity will jump from off your main target and shock others.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, because Tesla Cage is the only power that benefits from static. But it's the same static that Electric Affinity uses. So it's
Oh,
like,
hell.
if you're like an Electric Affinity Corruptor, then you want Tesla Cage.
CJ, it's a booty version of AoE damage.
No. What's... Is it they changed one of these things. Is it Sentinel? Is it the
Yeah,
Sentinel
Sentinel, they made it a
changed?
T3 blast.
Okay.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, like, as a sentinel, Tesla Cage does damage, but
No, not as a Sentinel. I mean Voltaic Sentinel. Didn't they change it to be... No, it's still terrible.
Yeah, I think they buffed it, but it's still really bad.
Okay.
how would you like to run this toggle for 52 N per second?
That's
Yeah,
pretty
that's how they
expensive.
changed it. They made it a toggle instead of a like power that you hit every minute and it floats around you for a minute.
No, I think electric is the king of the seas. And then archery is right after that for obvious
If only
reasons.
they,
Man.
if only there was a damage proc on an N mod set, then I would 100% say electric is top of C.
Well, I have to defer to your guys' opinions because the last time I played Sonic Blast as a blaster was like literally
No.
a decade ago.
Sonic is bottom.
Even with the changes?
It's so bad. It's so bad. I mean, in terms of single target,
Oh,
it-
I see
it will
why.
slightly edge out both of them, just because Screech is ranged clobber. But that's the only reason.
Yeah.
Like, other than that, the rest of this set's awful. Howl and Shockwave, you're just straight up wasting your time. Shockwave is still terrible. Howl, they didn't even help that much. It's still terrible. Actually, previous nerf, Howl does 20 more damage base than what it used to do for far less minus resistance. So overall, it's way less useful.
Well, actually, now I'm thinking, is electric better than Sonic? Sonic has 2 like tier 3 blasts.
Yeah, but they're both awful.
This thing activates in a minute or in a second 50.
You're talking about Screech.
Yeah, new Screech is
no.
New
New
Screech
Screech
is
is
okay.
okay. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Shout's still awful though.
Shout is still terrible, and you only have Scream to back it up with, and Scream has in lag that's not in the activation time, so Scream is actually kind of slow,
Hmm.
and the minus resistance got nerfed.
That's true too. Electric does have it better in that regard. Electric is a really fast blast set.
Dreadful Whale also got nerfed. It's worse than it used to be.
You think archery is better than
Science.
Sonic?
Yes, I actually do think Archery is better than Sonic.
Is that just personal bias, or you sure
No,
about
I've
that?
played the set. Range shot ends up being
We're talking about a
better
blaster,
than
though.
Screech. That's what I'm talking about. Range shot will end up being better than Screech. And if we just straight up talk about defenders, Radiation Blast is better than Sonic. Even with the changes. It's still 100% better. But if we're talking about blasters, it doesn't have a snipe. It doesn't matter that it has range clobber or that Blazing Arrow is slow.
Archery
has a
also does
snipe.
have the Ice Blast sort of benefit going for it, where you use Rain of Arrows and you keep attacking.
And honestly, you probably end up taking Shriek over Scream.
Dang. I could see that. Faster animation.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm glad that your input was given there. Thank you.
Sonic's problem is that the AoEs are so bad that you pretty much skip them anyway. Dude,
They're all
Siren's
awful.
Song,
Honestly,
148?
No, that's fake. That's
Honestly,
fake. It's pure
I
energy.
think-
It's reporting for whatever reason, it's reporting smashing and energy, but
I
it's
see.
just energy damage.
I see, okay.
Honestly, I think we kind of screwed up. We shouldn't have said anything and just let Wobble do this.
No,
Yeah.
Give his
because then it
opinions and
would
all
be
the
just
nonsense.
he'd be like, I don't know what that is. It's bad.
Listen, what I know is
Isn't that,
is
isn't that,
wrong?
isn't that basically what we're doing?
No, no, no.
it's not
Um,
Psi, Fire, Ice, or Seismic, so it's F.
You know, Electric also has that thing going for it where in a world where I have to have a slow nuke, it's a targeted AoE. Which Archery also has. 2 seconds is a lot better than 3, but you get the idea.
Dreadful Will is also something that you have to joust, and you get very little out of it. The stun is strong, but you're stunning weak enemies. And the minus res is just totally terrible compared to what it used to be.
Yeah, oh my god. My favorite thing is like
It's
reading
so
the
bad.
descriptions of like some of the powers. They're like, if the foe is not defeated outright, it will be stunned by this insane power. And it was like Seismic Smash.
Okay,
I was like,
I think
shit.
I can see that. The organization here pretty much is just based on the idea of
Well, here's another problem. So the reason that you have to take Shriek is that you cannot. You end up. It's a Fire Blast problem, but it's worse. You need extremely high recharge to be able to do Scream, Shout, Screech. So you end up doing Shriek, Shout, Screech because you can fill with Shriek,
I see.
which is not good.
I'm fine with that order. The blast sets of Electric and Archery have superior animation times to Sonic. They also have
They have
targeted
snipes, too.
nukes where you can be outside of the mob. And the damage output is pretty alright between the two of them. The C tier, the damage output kind of averages out across all of them, but
No, we need to have this fight right now. We need to decide.
you
who
think
is King
Sonic
of
has a
C.
lower damage output in the C tier?
No,
I
I'm
think they all end up averaging out to be the
No,
same.
I'm talking about who is the king of C.
Oh, who is the king of C?
It comes down to archery or electric.
Electric.
I'm putting it on Electric.
Mez,
Mm,
tell me how you really feel. Can you stand with electric being the king of C? Or do you think archery edges it out?
I can tell you my reasoning.
You have no reasoning.
I told
do
you,
have reason.
Electric has better scaling than Archery does.
No, it does, because
I think
as archery, your only AoE is going to end up being Explosive Blast or Fistful of Arrows, and you have to pick one or the other, and they're both awful. An Explosive Arrow is terrible because it has a chance for knockback. a really high chance for knockback.
It has better scaling across level ranges and also better scaling in terms of team. Because if your team has any sap at all, electric gets a damage boost.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with electric being above archery.
Then it's decided electric is the king of C tier.
Can I tell you my reasoning?
What
Sure.
the fuck is your reasoning? No,
My
first of all, tell me what the reasoning is for.
Electric being top of C,
Being what the king of, you have to say the king of C.
the king of C.
Good.
My reasoning is that electric has overload.
Does it?
Yes.
No. What?
What
well
is-
known. Well
Okay.
What? I'm very confused.
So the-
Are you comparing archery versus electric armor?
It's the same thing.
So, the only blast sets that are left, I believe, are assault rifle and dual pistols.
This is where it comes down to who's the king of F tier.
No,
Yeah.
I'm willing to say one of these is not F. I'm willing to say it's D.
You're actually about to say that dual pistols is D.
Actually, I'm not sure if I'd say it's dual pistols that's D.
You think AR is D? Oh my god, they're both horrible. No, they're both an F, but we have to decide who's top of F.
I don't know.
Man.
Assault rifle does have something of a redeemable
I
quality
don't think
to
you
it.
are going to convince CJ that any of these
This is
are
horrible.
outside of that.
Dude, like, piercing rounds is terrible.
All right, so
No, but if you really look at it,
God.
assault rifle has the better framework than
rounds?
dual pistols.
Piercing rounds is like piercing beam, and that it looks good, but it's a trap.
It's awful. It's awful.
No, because, like, see, here's the thing. On a team, right? I'm not saying it's optimal, but on a team, if I have a good setup with support sets and everything, assault rifle will perform closer to a blast set than dual pistols will. Dual
All right.
pistols doesn't have any of the same framework.
Yes, but who is top of F? They're both
dual.
There's
horrible.
no, I think that assault rifle is D.
Mez.
There's no
Dual
way that this
pistols.
is F compared to dual pistols.
What's your rotation? Slug, burst, sniper rifle.
It's the same exact stuff as electric blast. Tier
God,
1,
yeah,
tier 2
but-
snipe.
But yeah, but at least electric blast is better.
No, I agree. Electric blast is better. But how can you say assault rifle is in F when dual pistols don't even have the same type of setup? Assault rifle at least has tier 1, tier 2 snipe.
Yes, this is true, but they're both an F.
No, I can't agree with that.
No, they both are bottom. If you see one of these sets, you're just like, this guy's not gonna do any damage.
I just can't for the life of
But
me
you
agree with
know
that.
it's
Assault
true.
rifle, this is a D.
You know it's true. You see one of these sets and you think, man, this guy is terrible. He's
I
not
would take
gonna
an
do
assault
any
rifle over a dual
damage."
pistols.
Oh my god. If I already have, okay, now we're gonna get a little bit, we're gonna go into utility, we're gonna go into scalability, okay? If you are on the radiation, I would rather have the dual pistols blaster.
What?
Because the dual pistols blaster may be terrible, but he will at least bring AoE. It's booty AoE, but
I
it's
don't
more
know.
consistent. It's more consistent damage than the assault rifle dude, just lining up for buckshot. Dear God, or waiting for a full auto to come back.
No, dude, I can't agree with that. There's no way.
Mez,
The animation
need your
time
input.
difference is astounding.
I need to hear what Mez says.
Why does no one care what I have to say?
What do
Because you
think
don't know what
about
you're
dual
talking
pistols and
about.
assault rifle?
Okay, so my opinion on dual pistols is that your nuke gives you DR.
Yes, there you go.
So it's nice to have
9
on
defense.
someone.
You mean
For 5
defense,
seconds.
not DR.
9 defense for 5 seconds.
Hold on, it keeps like changing the thing. All right, here. That's defense. Is that it?
No, that says
You're on
defense
executioner
debuff.
shot.
Oh, I'm on execute. Okay, here we go. Yeah, there you go. Your 9 defense.
That needs to be taken into account.
9.75.
I need that written down in the records.
No, dude, there's no way. Assault
Maz,
rifle
you-
has to be D.
Aaron and I are divided here. You have to come in and be the voice of reason. Are they both an F?
It has the skeleton of an actual blast set. Dual pistols doesn't.
I mean, no, they technically both do, except they're both missing aim. Because dual pistols has the T1, T2, T3, and 2 AoEs. I guess it's missing a snipe, but there are higher rated sets that don't have a snipe. They're both missing different things. Dual pistols is missing the snipe, assault rifle's missing the T3 blast.
How much value do you think swap ammo puts in it?
0. Actually, literally 0. Because you still get the damage bonus without it. It's just lethal damage.
Yeah.
Hey man, but if the target is immobilized, ignite is gonna do
Okay, look.
some good value.
I'm gonna give it one edge to assault rifle. Sniper rifle does give you plus range, and it has base sniper range of
You can be a
150.
blaster.
God dang it.
It's a D.
Oh my god, it's not D, it's an F because it's bad, but you know what? I'm willing to put it at the top.
Top of it.
No, it's
I'm willing to-
it's a D because it actually it's the
ca-
function
I
of the
just
archetype.
I just can't. I just can't let it go into D. My god.
It's better than dual
It's
pistols.
so
Yeah, it is better, but
Ugh.
it's not better enough.
depends on what you need it to do.
I don't know. I can't not put this in D. I think it's a difference.
Mez. You have to come in here.
Yeah.
You're on the sideline. You have to enter this. You have to come into this.
I just like sitting back watching you guys fight.
No, okay,
you need to
okay,
get in
no,
here.
Matt,
There's
No, Mez,
There
what
is-
is your true
Just let him
opinion?
speak. Let him
Is
speak.
assault rifle a
there's
D or is
one-
it an F?
okay.
Let
There's
him
one.
speak
There's
first.
there is one curious thing. That buckshot actually has like the shortest animation of any blaster attack.
You talking from experience with Spider-Man?
No. Oh, God.
Remember assault rifle force field?
Oh,
Oh my god.
no.
But I think I have to say, I believe assault rifle should be in F.
Oh
Yes,
no!
God. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Oh my
It's just-
god, that was the longest awaited result
I
I've
don't
ever
care.
waited.
It has a skeleton. It's so terrible.
Oh my god.
It's so bad.
Okay, so assault rifle dual pistols? Is that the
Yes.
order? So it
Yes.
definitively is better than dual pistols.
Yeah.
I
Oh
think
my
that
God.
yes, in hard content, yes, it's better than dual pistols. And that's what this is for.
There is no
in
redemption
baby
for
mode
assault rifle.
content, I think dual pistols is better.
It's booty.
Oh
I
my
mean,
god.
baby mode content. Dual pistols at the bottom, but dual pistols isn't like C. Like that's where how the window slides.
Mm.
Holy fuck, dude.
I mean, sort of, but empty clips is the only thing that the set's really going off of for its fat damage.
Okay.
Mez, you brought me to tears. I want you to know that. Like the timing, it it has come. It was like
I
the
needed him to
Bachelorette
It
or
was like
something.
Hell's
I-
Kitchen.
I could not live in a world. I could not live in a world.
No, I still in my heart of
I
hearts
could
think that it
not
could.
live. I could not. No, I can't live in that world where it's in D,
Oh.
where assault rifle somehow elevates itself to its own
This whole
tier.
thing, this whole thing got like really screwed up.
You like
I-
overlaid them.
Yeah. Were you making your own list when we were doing that, Mez?
No, actually, I was working on a build, but I
Okay.
I don't know.
I
I was
just
thinking maybe I should make my own list because I do have a couple of disagreements with this list.
okay. Well,
personally.
let's hear it. Let's hear it. What do you think?
Well, here, let me
No, well,
redo
this
this
is what
so
this is
that
for.
I can actually. All right, so Psy and Ice are
I
in
just want to
S.
thank Mez for allowing me to have peace of mind in knowing that assault
Oh my
rifle
God.
is not in D tier and that it is in F. It is bad, but it is better than dual pistols in hard content.
No, I mean we've gone over the reasons, and I think it's just it comes down to we weigh things differently. I think Dark goes above Water, and I think Sonic is in D.
God, you really think Sonic is in D?
I think with the changes,
I-
it's way too competent to be a D set.
Not competent, but like those three sets have problems. And they're in C together because of those problems. I don't think Sonic is bad enough that it goes to D. Because at the end of the day, it has crap minus res now because of the changes. But it does have a competent low animation time chain. Unfortunately, you do have to fill it with Shriek. But it does have a competent chain. It has no AoE outside of the nuke. Siren's Song is terrible. You're wasting your time if you take Shockwave, and Howl is awful. Howl is actually better before they buffed its damage because old Howl had higher minus resistance. Imagine. More
Okay,
utility. What's
F.
not to love about that versus 20 more base damage? Imagine living in a world where even if you're a blaster and you have terrible scaling on how much minus resistance actually affects Purple Patch, but you have a higher base number instead of dealing with like 7% and 5%. You have just 20. There we go. It's Meteor. It's elevated.
Okay. So the final list looking like S, Psy, Ice, A, Fire, Seismic, Rad, B, Beam, Water, Dark, Energy, C,
And
Electric, Archery, Sonic, and then Assault Rifle, Dual Pistols, F.
now let me say, this is my personal opinion, okay? I think Beam, Water, and Dark are almost interchangeable.
The B tier, like whenever you do a B tier, it kind of is like that. Where
But I do believe that Energy is objectively worse than those three sets because of the issues that it has.
yeah. Because you have to waste a slot for removing the knockback, and it doesn't
Your
have.
nuke is horrible. Oh my god, your nuke is horrible. And what, like, that could be a proc, right?
Yeah,
It could be a proc. It could be more damage,
it could
which
be.
is what every
But
other set above you has the
it could be,
opportunity
but it
to
can't
do.
because you're held
I
back
know.
by the problem.
Yeah, because if you don't convert it, you make everything harder. Which is not what you want. The whole point is your nuke is meant to be supplementary damage that
Mhm.
complements the rest of your set.
Yeah.
You don't live in that world if you scatter the mob 4 million miles away from the tank, who is then sitting there desperately trying to keep everything taunted now that it's spread out everywhere.
I think this is a fine blaster.
I want to hear
Bless
the
it.
amendments that Mez would make. He got stopped there. I want to hear all of the amendments that he would make. I'm very curious.
Well, as I said, I would switch Water Dark, Sonic would be in D, and I think I need to think about it more, but I think I'd actually put Rad at top B.
Okay, so Mez would switch Water and Dark. He would put Sonic in D,
God.
and then
I
he
think
would
that's too
move
harsh.
Rad to the top of B. So he would put Rad right here.
The only compromise I would make is that Rad would be B+.
Yeah.
That's the only compromise
I kind of get where you're coming from there, but I having played it, I think Rad is strong enough to be the bottom of A.
It is probably one of the strongest low-level blast sets as well.
Yeah, and that's why I would defer to you because I don't really have a whole lot of experience with radiation on blasters. As I
He
said, all of
always
my
brings
radiation
it to
experience
boat.
is on Corruptor.
Always
I
brings
love
to
playing it
boat.
on boat. It was great in the cavern.
We should do a cavern at some point.
You know,
Yeah.
And it
when you get to higher levels, it's still good enough. It's just, you don't get the same power impact as like ice or psi.
Like, imagine if Atomic Blast was a targeted AoE.
Yeah, that would make it a little bit better.
I think that would help elevate it a little bit.
Yeah. In terms
Yeah,
of
if
this
they,
here, your amendment to put it in D tier, I would not do this.
I don't see it. It's bad, but it's not so bad that it sits in D by itself.
Okay, I think old Sonic is solid D. New Sonic, I guess I can see the case for keeping it in C.
Yeah, because as a blaster set, it is better. It's just that they really fumbled the ball on how the cones should work and the damage scaling of the cones.
Okay,
They put everything into Siren Song.
Let me say this. CJ might not agree with me that assault rifle is D, but I think and
can't
I
live in
hope
that
he
world.
will agree with me that if you're thinking about a D candidate, it has to be something like assault rifle because Sonic actually has an aim.
Yeah, it does have a build up. I forgot about that. You do have plus damage in your set. That's pretty important.
If you have a candidate that goes in D, it can't be something that has a damage stim. I'm sorry.
It's just it doesn't like D tier is for something that would be worse than those sets. Like F exists because those sets are just they're
Well, F means
non-functional
Garbo.
yeah, they're non-functional atrocities in hard content.
Yeah.
Like assault okay, at the very least in hard content. The only case I could ever see to live in a world where assault rifle goes to D on its own and dual pistol sits in F is the fact that your nuke is ranged and you will not die horribly like the dual pistols blaster who attempts to joust hail of bullets and looks
What do you mean?
really bad.
What about the 9% defense?
You're the 9% defense as your lifeless body flies through the air. It's great.
That's why I was trying to say that assault rifle was D, but it's already been decided.
There's
Okay, you
so
know what?
little
Okay,
that
you
you're
know what-
doing.
You know what the meme is?
What's the meme?
I can see assault rifle in D
Yeah.
if you pair it with devices. Because you have other problems.
No, because that makes it worse because
It's already been decided. You said it. You guys agreed that it was F. So
No,
it's F.
yeah,
Yes,
it is F. This
I
mostly a
didn't-
joke.
I didn't agree.
hold on. I want to hear Wovel's opinion. I want to hear the opinion of the man who is very well versed.
The
who
assault
is
rifle
knowledgeable. Yes.
is a
the
lot
assault
bigger.
rifle. Okay.
is two pistols.
Yes, the
Bigger
rifle
gun.
is bigger than the pistol.
It's a
Which
higher
leads
tier
me
because
to
it's a
believe-
bigger gun.
Yes.
That it's a better set.
The size
because
of the
it's
assault
bigger.
rifle determines the power. I understand.
Yeah, when it comes to guns, bigger is better.
Bigger is better.
The
All right.
amendment that I agree with, or I at least can see, is this one. This is interchangeable.
Yeah. And it really depends on what you want to bring. That's why I was saying like beam, water, and dark are very interchangeable in B, but I'm adamant about energy has to be the bottom. It has too many problems. It has
agree with
everything
that.
you need in the core, but there's a lot that the set is doing to sabotage itself.
All right, well that's Blaster.
Yeah, and
Oh.
it's gone. Oh, wait,
Here,
no,
I'll
you
put
got
it
it.
back.
You got it.
I mean, it's gonna be on an archive.
Yeah. Now, if they ever give Electric a tier 3 blast, then I could see it going to be probably
yeah.
above.
It could be B, yeah.
I mean, yeah, if they make Tesla Cage a proper T3 blast, I could see Electric maybe being top of B.
It's got really good animation time.
Because that's Electric's big problem. It's missing the T3 blast.
Yeah.
Ball lightning. It's energy-based fireball.
Sure.
I mean, it is technically energy fireball.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Isn't it slower? Is it 1 second? Oh my god, it is
1.07
fireball.
107.
versus
It is
technically
fireball.
slower.
one
No,
second.
Fireball's
Really?
flat 1-0.
Yeah,
Oh, well,
it is a little bit slower.
it's basically fireball.
Yeah, it's analogous to Fireball, yeah.
It's fireball.
So that covers Blaster. You want to do, you want to talk about Sentinel?
No, God.
No,
Does there any
Corruptor is pretty easy. I think just Archery goes to maybe top of B, bottom of A, side goes down to C. That's probably about it, actually.
If we're talking about Corruptor, there's a little bit of changes that I
No,
would
because
personally
Rad
make.
would have to change. Rad would
Oh yeah,
have to change.
Rad is definitely in B.
Hold on, let me expand this window.
Make it bigger.
Let me expand our horizons.
Bigger.
Make it huge.
Okay.
I had a bit of fun today. There was a short guy working with a tall guy, and I did like a chuckle. I was like, huh, tall.
I was gonna say, did you get another big meal for lunch?
No, you can kiss my ass. That was once.
I got a huge meal today.
You did actually. You said you were gonna do that. You were gonna get a huge meal.
I did, Panda Express.
All right.
Okay, now
Now
with
for
Corruptor, this is really easy. This thing goes
Yeah.
away. Goodbye, Sai.
Size gone.
So
Yeah.
here, let me. Can I make the eraser bigger? I guess
What are
not.
all the ones that change position?
There's a lot of changes here.
Yeah.
Okay, one sec. Let me get rid of all the red.
F stays the same, which I think is
Pretty
nice.
much.
Yep.
Okay,
T
so now
can
a lot
stay
of
the
a lot
same.
of what I'm gonna do right now is my own personal tastes. Okay.
Okay. We'll talk.
Having
about
played Corruptor a lot and my own personal preferences. Ice, I think, can stay here. I'd be
Yeah.
completely fine with that. Ice is very strong.
Yeah.
Psy moves, and I'm not sure where it's going to go, so I'm just going to leave it here.
Okay.
I'm just going to start to move stuff and then, like, replace it. So let's
That's
put over
fine.
here, water over here, beam over here. Okay, Seismic, I think, is fine staying here, truthfully.
It's strong.
I
whether
don't
you're
mind
playing,
Seismic.
I think it's one of those sets like
Red.
Ice where just out of the 3 ATs, it keeps its core strengths.
Okay. Now, this is where I think we're starting to really deviate. Because to me, what makes a set good as a Corruptor is completely different than a Blaster. So
Yeah, 'cause
I would
now you
actually
have to
put
juggle the secondary.
Archery and Electric up here in A.
Damn, electric to A?
It has the exact same kind of performance metrics as like
What do you think about that, Mez?
as Archery.
Um,
I was thinking B.
yeah. I do think Electric is improved on the Corruptor. I don't know enough to bring in A.
Well, let's let Aaron set his
Fire
ideal.
Fire I
first.
think is A. I'd put
Fire,
water. I'd put water down here.
Solid B.
Red, I would. Yeah, I'd put red in B, probably.
Now, what do you think about that, Mez?
Psy. I'd put it over
Yeah,
here.
if Aaron is the Rat on Blasters guy, I'm the Rat on Corruptors guy. I think Rat is bottom of B.
Okay.
I have no horse.
I think Beam goes to B again.
The only horse you have in this race, Wolvel, is that you like big damage and you don't care about what these other sets do. Biggest damage is best damage. Because to you, you're either playing a top tier or you're playing tank, killing the team.
So water, dark.
I think energy goes down. I think energy's bad.
I'm trying to sort this in my brain.
Okay.
Actually, okay, here. Let me reorder this real quick.
I'm curious.
Put archery at the bottom of that. And then you
Yeah.
put... You move all of these
Okay.
and you put electric at the top of B. Oh.
I'm liking what you're doing here, Aaron. That you're like moving stuff around.
Yeah.
Make
You
it
should probably turn
happen.
on transparent selection, so you don't need to worry about the size of the box.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, I
Oh,
guess
no,
I
you
could see
paint
archery
3D
or
things
energy
down.
going down here, and you move it like this, to where energy, Sonic,
What?
Psy.
I just now watched your fucking stream. What's going on with the blaster side? What's happening over there?
No,
Oh,
we
that's
talked
because
about
of the
the
mouse, I
amendments that would
think.
be made and everything
That-
else.
The red arrows are my disagreements.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
those are your experience. Okay.
Yeah, I think actually I think beam is better than rad.
Yeah.
I think I would do something like this.
Okay, I have opinions.
I'm willing to hear them. I know exactly what you want to do.
Oh,
Oh man.
I think dark is in C.
Okay, so dark goes to C.
And hear me out. I think Sonic goes in D.
Sonic goes to D.
I think that's fair. Well,
Because the damage, quote unquote, bonus doesn't matter as much on the corruptor, and the reduced debuff matters more.
yeah, because you start to have to worry about damage, but I don't.
Because I still see corruptor as a hybrid support damage.
Well, yeah, because
where damage is important, but you can make concessions. Like honestly, Psy might also belong in. Dark, I think, can stay in C just because of the to hit debuff.
You're thinking Psy belongs in D?
I need to think about it. It's hovering between C and D for me.
If I was gonna do that kind of correction, I would not do this one. I would not do Sonic. I would move Psy here.
I agree. Having experienced Sonic changes, and I know my Screech is not slotted for damage, but the attack chain is competent. It's not incredible, but it is competent if you use Shriek. And you also have to juggle your secondary, so if you're not using something that's super hands-off, then you kind of start to have to worry about animation times. But with Sonic, you don't really have to worry about that. It's just that your blast set's not bringing a whole lot to the table, since the minus resistance got nerfed. But Screech does allow you to deal more damage. So I think it's solid in C where it's at, to be honest.
So, okay. I can understand Dark being in C because it doesn't have any of the good things that it does from Blaster.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that it does have fast animations. So, okay. So part of my reasoning for everything is, as a corruptor, I want to have fast animations, because not only does it mean that I can abuse Scourge, like if I have fast enough attack chain, I can get 2 attacks in.
Yeah.
It also means that I have more time to use my secondary if I need to, which is very important sometimes. And then after all of that, I need solid damage. Ice fits that bill 100%.
Yeah.
In
it's
all
definitely the
dimensions.
top, so.
That's why it's S. After having played Seismic,
Yeah, and in fact, even Ice is so good on a corruptor. I mean, take it from the person who has like 5 ice corruptors. Even if corruptors had blast or side blast, I think Ice would be better.
yeah, so Ice fits that 100% to me, and every time I play Lady Winter, it feels perfect. So that to me is the S. Now for A, having played Seismic Blast, I think Seismic Blast as a corruptor is very strong. Stronger than as a blaster. Because as Seismic Blast, even though you're not at full strength all the time, with a corruptor, it ends up working out better. Because in the half time where you're using your secondary versus blasting, it pretty much always means that you have your
stalagmite available, which means your
Yeah.
burst damage is great. It's
Yeah,
got
you're
very
not dedicated damage, so gaps in your attack chain are okay.
yeah, it's got very
Unless
strong
they're
single
really
target
bad.
attack chain and very strong AoE, and the animations are pretty okay, like animation times. And if you want to dump a meteor, it's a delayed attack. I can meteor and then like hit somebody with shields or something, right? You know.
Yeah.
So in terms of its utility, like everything that comes along with it, in terms of its damage, I think it's far superior to the rest of the A's. Fire, obviously, barring, everything taken into account, has way better damage than archery. And it has good animation times with it too, which is why I ranked it higher than archery. But archery,
I mean, honestly, I see fire and seismic as completely interchangeable. They're exactly equal to me.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the
On
two of
Corruptor.
them, I believe, are better than archery, but I believe archery is still good enough to be an A because when you hit Scourge, the fast animation times paired with the fact that it has the highest base accuracy in the game, and the fact that Rain of Arrows will Scourge on every tick of damage. Just like when I played that archery character, and we would be doing architect missions where there would be hibernate targets or moment of glory targets, and I would just kill
Yeah.
them like before it activated. Like, dude, there's no better feeling than that.
I can name a few, but yeah, sure.
There's a it's just, to me, it's not comparable. So I don't think archery can compare in terms of like the damage output department as the other two, but the animation times compare with everything else in Scourge, and the fact that it really suits you as a corruptor to be able to attack that fast and be
Yeah.
able to have good damage output when it matters. I think that's what makes it, to me, an A. Now, the rest of it is kind of self-explanatory. I feel a very similar type of thing with Electric Blast, but obviously Electric Blast has a little less power to it. Rain of Arrows it doesn't have, so
Well, you can also any set that suffers like bad AoE, bad tier 3, all of that can go out the window on a corruptor or a defender,
yeah.
unlike on a blaster. So
I
archery
don't think
really benefits
necessarily
from
out
that.
the window, but
To an
it's less
extent,
important. It's less important.
because you can focus on other things.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you hit electric, like that's the cusp of it all to me. As soon as you hit electric, everything from here is downhill because the animation times just get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
And some of the sets have worse and worse damage output. Like right as when we get to dark, there's no damage stems at all. So those things are just
Yeah, and
kaputs.
on a corruptor,
I
no
w-
aim is worse because you don't have a build up to rely on to fall
Yeah.
back to. Unless you take power build up, but if you're taking power build up for the damage, then there are problems.
The B here besides electric, I think electric is definitive on the first. No, hold on. So Malice says electric assault plus a end affecting power secondary, then add a incarnate for end mod. I love it. Yeah, no, we talked about that earlier with electric blast being a good scaling attack set. If you have a team that
Yeah,
has
and-
any sap, it gets a damage buff.
Yeah, and I do think that's actually another reason why it's better on corruptors than blaster because the drain is better and you could potentially have a secondary that also drains.
Yeah.
For a bit more synergy.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying when it comes to corruptor, as soon as you get after electric, I think that these in the B are interchangeable almost. Water, beam, and rad. Because their animation times are comparable. And they each do different secondary effects, which you can slot for. You can slot for negative resistance. You can have a negative regen, which you're not slotting for, but it's like a secondary effect with beam. Rad has all the minus defense, but it's not the same level of damage output as if you had an ice blast, right?
Yeah.
Or a
Well,
seismic
also,
blast.
the endurance drain is really bad utility in 4-star and AE challenge. It's not good
Yeah.
utility. It's only useful for boosting your damage because most enemies in hard AE and 4-star are just gonna ignore the sap for the most part.
Yeah. Now, Malice, I don't know if you were here earlier, but when we were talking about this, the evaluation of the strength of these sets in terms of a tier list is talked about with respect to like 4-star level type content. So we're not talking about like radio mission type of stuff. We're talking about we're on the ASF, it's a 4-star. What are we doing? You know?
Yeah.
So when you go to higher level scaled content, a lot of the idiosyncrasies about the sets start to show themselves, you know. So in
Yeah,
terms
like
of
how dual
corruptor,
pistols is unplayable.
in terms of a corruptor, which is what we're talking about here, we talked about blaster earlier, which is on the left. The red is kind of amended changes that Mez would make, but the list is still the same. In terms of a corruptor, ice having the S spot and then A being seismic fire archery, and now we're talking about the Bs, where the Bs are mostly interchangeable, except in my opinion, electric being at the top due to animation time, in combination with damage output being able to dish out the damage when it matters. Because when I played my electric blast corruptor, I could kill stuff before it's tier 9 activated, just the same as the archery. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's fairly fast, but
The C is
also-
kind of self-explanatory here.
man, Dark Blast is
You
just
know.
horrible on Corruptor.
See,
My God, I'm just looking at it.
Energy
Wow,
has a better framework as an attack set than Sonic does. Because Sonic has no snipe. It's got 2 tier 3s or whatever. But it's, well,
I honestly think Sonic might end up being better than Energy.
it might. Because it also, Energy suffers the same problem that it did earlier, which is that you have to waste a slot in your attacks to kill the knockback.
Yeah,
So I'm
because the
fine
last
putting
thing
it
you
like
want to do
that.
is scatter challenge enemies.
Yeah.
Because if Chad Thundercock gets blasted 400 miles away from the tank, and the tank loses threat because he's focused on the stuff in the immediate area, Chad Thundercock is going to turn around and just one-shot you.
Yeah.
So great
Oh,
job, you
boy.
knocked him back. You knocked him back so far that the tank lost threat, and now he killed you.
Yeah.
That's
And
the problem with knockback.
yeah, I'm
Oh,
fine.
God.
I'm fine saying Sonic is better than Energy in that regard. That really, it really boils down to that too. Having to waste slots on killing knockback really destroys you as a corruptor, because like with a blaster, right? A blaster sometimes has the luxury of just tossing slots around. You can't do that on a corruptor. Like corruptor requires way more intensive slotting than a blaster does.
Yeah, so
Depends on the secondary, but in general, yeah.
Well, yeah, if we're talking about Sonic Resonance, you basically have like, you know,
you have the freedom to slot the
Yeah.
entire Earth.
I'm talking about sets that, you know, you would want to have and like screw around with like Rad or whatever, you know.
Well, it also helps when all you really have to care about for slotting is like your tier 3, your snipe, and like your tier 1 or tier 2, depending upon which one's better for
Yeah.
the setup.
Well, and you know, that's what we're talking about, Malice, you know. So like again, we're talking about that 4-star style content, right? If we're talking about 4-star style content, then if I knock back the whole mob and it's all gold brickers, I might have killed my whole team. I might have done something catastrophic. So it just, you know, you have to waste a slot in the blast set to killing knockback, because if you don't, then you're just going to cause problems.
Yeah, and I mean, you can make the case that like knockbacks applied precisely can be beneficial, but you can't trust everyone to do it, and even someone who is good at it, they mess up from time to time, and it can cause problems.
You can't play
Man.
perfectly all the time.
You know, that's screwed up. I just realized the enemies have a better version of Sonic Blast than players.
Yeah, they do.
That's awful. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
So Dark being at the end of C tier here is because
The set's just so like, oh,
okay, so as soon as we get to this
oh.
little valley here, right? As soon as we get over here, what's most
honestly-
important is not necessarily damage output as much as utility. And Dark has better utility than Psy does as a corruptor.
Yeah, that's about the only thing helping it. You have a much fatter -2 hit in your powers, especially your nuke. But man, the damage difference between Psy and Dark, I don't care that Dark has Gloom. Man, they're both build-upless wonders.
Yeah.
They have
So
no aim.
So
Ugh.
everything from this point forward, Dark, Psy, Assault Rifle, Dual Pistols, there's no stim. They don't have aim. There's nothing like that. As I said, I think Dark has way better utility than Psy does, which is why I think it edges it out. But Psy does have the Psy damage typing. It's just that if we look at Psy Blast for a Corruptor here, you've got Subdue versus having Psydart, because normally this would be Psydart, Mental Blast, and then you'd have Will Dom and Telekinetic Blast and Silence. So you have Subdue, which
Oh, you're screwed. Yeah, it's not like Blaster.
it's not like that at all. You don't have an aim, so no stim, no nothing like that. But you do still have stuff like Psywhale. You still do have the attack chain. It's got the stuff that you would want, and it still
you
has the
take
side
Subdue over
damage
Mental
typing.
Blast.
What's that?
You take Subdue over Mental Blast.
Yeah.
Because you can at least throw proc into Subdue.
And it does have Psychic Scream in the blast set. I mean, it does have another AoE, but it's just that, like I said, when we get to this tier, it's not even necessarily about the damage output of the sets, rather than what they're adding to the team. Are you guys spamming pictures or something?
No, just continue.
Shark blood. All right. Anyway,
Something we can talk about.
yeah. But it's just, I think Dark has a better impact as a Corruptor on a team setting with range DPS than Psy does. Even though Psy has all the same good stuff going for it.
At the end of the day, you can Black Star. You don't even have to slot Black Star for damage. That's a convenience, or you can Franken slot it.
Yeah.
But it's -52 hit base, and
Yeah.
Corruptor has good purple patch scaling, so
Yeah. And
that's a lot of utility.
what Malice is saying in chat is entirely true, because it's an edge case. Don't get me wrong. This is like a once in a million. But
Yeah.
that one time when we did the Miss Liberty Goes to Hell, and the time cows were saturated, and I had the ability to separate one of the cows, and we could kill them one by one. I mean, that happens. It's legit.
Yeah, if you're in a world where your other teammates are so bad that you have to rely on knockback to separate one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a rough
Out of
life
8
out there.
people, you become the hero because you can separate the mob that your entire team of 8 people can't hurt.
Okay, so now, all the way down to F tier. The reason that these things are here.
No,
Is
now
becau-
we have to have this argument again. Assault rifle or dual pistols, which is a better corruptor set? Who's the king of F?
Oh my god, dude. Oh, that hit me a little bit sideways. I'll be
if I'm
honest.
being, if I'm being serious,
Hey, if it influences your decisions as a corruptor, Hail of Bullets gives you 11% defense.
Oh man.
no,
Oh
yeah, no, see,
man.
no, see, he's going on a thread, which is exactly what I was like. The metric for evaluation is who benefits the most from Scourge.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
And
Oh.
I really see assault rifle has a snipe, which automatically means it's a good Scourge target because like if the target's low, burst damage, right? Hit the
You
snipe.
can also survey how bad the team is. And just hide with assault rifle. You have no range stim. Like you have no plus range, no snipe with dual pistols.
Well, the plus range is only a blaster thing.
No, oh yeah, I forgot about that. But I just mean like you can at least sit back and
Yeah.
use sniper rifle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also, assault rifle has inherently slightly longer range. At least as long as you don't use AOE's.
Hmm.
Yeah, but buckshot has the shortest animation.
It's a risk. You gotta
Yeah.
weigh those
Think of
Yeah.
the burst.
Yeah,
Oh.
if I had to give it, I think I might give it to assault rifle because so dual pistols, if you want to use the nuke, you have to go in. Assault
Yeah,
rifle
and I
can
love the part
forever
where your
stay at
dead
range.
body flies. Oh, I love it. I love.
So
I love
assault,
hail of bullets.
assault rifle, I think, benefits better from Scourge than dual pistols does, which
Oh,
would mean that it's better
man.
than dual pistols.
Assault rifle wins again. Yes.
Oh.
But does it go to D?
Um,
No, I don't think so.
That
no.
was fast.
uh,
Of course it's
if
not.
if we evaluate the difference between Psi and assault rifle, Psi clearly I think is like forget about letters, right? Like this is an ether space. Psi versus assault rifle. I think that you in general would put Psi on a tier above assault rifle.
But it
If
doesn't
that's
have
the
buckshot.
case, then Psi being in D, if it's a tier above, that means assault rifle has to be F.
You can't use my logic against me, Aaron.
Well, I just did.
I am invincible.
So
Oh man.
So those are tier rankings for the blast sets between Blaster and Corruptor. Do you want to just pretend that Sentinel doesn't exist?
Yes.
Man, like
I'm
Sentinel.
okay with move on.
Sentinel just doesn't exist.
If I had the choice, I would never bring a Sentinel to. I would never have a Sentinel on the team because, like a Defender or a Corruptor will bring more than the Sentinel. The Sentinel is a hybrid that has a weird niche where it tries to reduce resistance.
It is
It
a
has-
ranged DPS archetype, though.
By definition, yes, but it's a hybrid range DPS because you have a diaper for your secondary.
You have the yeah.
You put on the diaper because you're afraid to play a
Damn!
blaster.
Did you see what Malice said? He shot some hot fire at a Sentinel. He said Sentinel
no,
is
it's absolutely true.
Sentinel is a team support beast. It can only AOE to distract at best. Dang.
That's because, what they did, it doesn't make any sense. What is the Sentinel supposed to be? Like, they want it to support,
Yeah, it's
but it's niche, and its archetypal values versus Purple Patch are bad.
It would have been better off if they had put taunt on the Sentinel attacks. Like
So they
don't
could become bench bait.
don't give it taunt like as a power, but put like taunt in the attacks.
God, no, I think that would make it worse. I think it'd make it so much worse because they have less survivability than a Scrapper or a Stalker.
It should be comparable.
But like,
No, wait, no, it wouldn't. Because they get Rise of the Phoenix, don't they, in their epic?
wait a minute, does the Sentinel get Rise of the Phoenix in their epic?
Well,
No,
they
because they get it in their-
they
they get it
have
in their secondary.
armor. It's in the armor.
Oh, I was hoping. Man, I'm sorry. I let
Who
you
do
down.
they share
Paul.
epics with?
They have Scrapper epics.
They have unique.
Or,
They've
or,
no, it's
sorry.
unique because they have like weird like
Oh, they have the unique Sentinel epic then.
yeah.
No,
It's basically melee attacks and like heals.
I
Like,
meant to say
heal
they
other
share
people.
Scrapper secondaries. So like
Damn it, I was all excited. I was like, dude, that's actually Pog.
So they'd have soul transfer from dark. They've got
But yeah, well, if you make a fire
Yeah.
armor sentinel, it'll have Rise of the Phoenix.
Oh my! Oh, they get geode and stone armor. That's so terrible.
Oh my god, can you imagine a sentinel with granite armor?
The no,
That actually
it's
might.
so
That actually
bad.
would probably be. That would be the best version of granite armor.
No, it'd be so bad. Oh my god!
Because you'd never have to move because your range damage, you mean?
critical acceleration.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about.
I mean, and the
Don't
fact
know
that
anyone.
overcapping resistance isn't as important on a sentinel, so the granite numbers
Oh
are
my
probably
God.
okay.
Okay, I'm gonna say something of a controversial opinion here. Okay.
Oh no.
We've
Alright,
been saying nothing but
alright.
controversial stuff all night.
No, there was something controversial that was typed.
What? Sentinel
My
warmth
God.
with plus recharge form.
No, that's
appeased? Yeah,
fighting words for CJ.
almost a good empath.
That's
No.
horrible. Oh
Uh,
my god.
Malice, we can talk about that some other time, but there is no substitute for an empathy
Oh
with
my
any kind of
God.
thing like that. See, because no,
I'm in
I'll help out.
pain.
So we're talking about
pain.
4-star level content again, right? In that kind of content, there's enough damage that the tank is going to be hit with like, I don't know, let's say like 2,700 in one hit, and in the
lieutenant's
next half
wet
second,
fart.
in the next half second, they're going to get hit by 3,000 damage, right? So
The there a lieutenant in 4-star or some jacked up lieutenant in AE challenge is gonna blast a wet fart that will do more damage than using warmth 4 times.
yeah. No, so I haven't gotten to the my controversial opinion. I'm just responding to what you said. So as CJ painted the picture, when there's so much damage like that, where you've got 2,700 and then a half second later it's going to get hit by 3,000, you can't warmth that. Like the Sentinel warmth healing for like 200 or 300, whatever, it's not going to cut it. You
It'll heal
need to have
pets.
empathy using power boost absorb pain to be able to heal for like over 2k. Like it's just not even comparable.
I need big numbers.
Yeah.
A lieutenant's wet.
That because no, it's 100% true, especially on enemies buffed.
Oh my god.
Especially on enemies buffed.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
4-star.
Yeah.
Which starts to rival AE challenge.
Yeah, so
That may be
because-
far a little bit.
here's another thought, Malice, is that so when we're talking about 4-star, we're also talking about stuff like challenge settings. Well,
Enemies
no,
buffed.
so 4-star meaning like the new task forces like the Aeon Strike Force and the ITF, the 4-star settings that elevate the difficulty higher.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about that, we're also talking about putting on challenge setting stuff, which is like enemies buffed, right? If you put on enemies buffed,
it's a whole different ballgame.
they get an accuracy bonus, right? Now, a lot of times people are used to a world where somebody gets hit once in a while and it's a very long time before they get hit again, right? When you turn on enemies buffed, people get hit like 75% of the time. Like even if they had soft cap. So
well, also any plus accuracy makes defense less valuable.
yeah. So when that happens, when it's a world where your team is going to get hit, like it's not a thing of like they got soft cap, maybe they get hit once in a while, it's fine and dandy. They're gonna get hit. When that happens, you need to have higher heal strength. Because how do you keep up? So that's the response to that. But as far as my controversial opinion, or potentially controversial opinion,
I'm willing to hear it.
the Sentinel armor sets actually provide a lot of good stuff that we always like to build for in 4-star content. You know, like slow protection or end drain or whatever. And it does provide modest amount of protections. To me, a Sentinel seems like it would fit in with like a dungeon style level team size, like a 4 team size, because depending on your team comp, the Sentinel might have to make up what normally would be made up with other team members in its armor set. And then it has the blast set to supplement the damage, right? So in that world, I could see the Sentinel having a use because it gets good stuff from its armor set, and it would be self-sufficient on its own, and it could help with damage.
Maybe if its passive was actually useful in hard content.
Oh, dude, he's he's talking like you are. Sonic Resonance becomes a warm blanket plus 50% resist. You're totally right. It is a warm blanket.
It's fields of sonic dispersion. Team is
Yeah.
doing no damage.
But
The architect.
I wouldn't even necessarily do a tier list of blast sets for a Sentinel because I feel like it's a lot like Stalker in that regard, where there's a category of sets that are okay to pick and that work, and there's a category of sets that are just bad.
I mean, the main
Yeah,
thing
they've
is that
they've
the
tried
sets
to
assault rifle changes.
yeah they've tried to homogenize the blast sets a lot more on Sentinel than other powers.
Yeah.
I
They made
just-
sure every set has three. I mean, no set has a snipe on Sentinel, but they made sure everything has like a proper T1, T2, T3, couple AOE's and aim, except for the ones that don't. Actually,
it's-
no. They gave. I think they gave everyone aim. I think actually, because even Starfall's aim on Sentinel.
Sentinel's just
No.
it's too weak. Its hybrid utility is too weak.
No, don't get it twisted. I'm not talking about a Stalker that has ranged attacks, and I'm not saying that the Sentinel is like a Stalker. I'm just saying that when you try to make a tier list of blast sets that are good, right? And we're talking about a Sentinel, it's very similar to a Stalker because not in terms of archetype or anything like that, just in tier list placings.
You mean also you mean in terms of set design?
Yeah, because with a Stalker, there are sets that are good to pick, and there are sets that are just bad, right? But they generally are along the lines of same performance. So
because Assassin Strike is
it's a great equalizer.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
what I'm trying to say is that like for Stalker, right? There'd be a category of the attack sets that we would say these are good to pick, and then a category these are bad. I feel
Yeah.
like the same thing is true of Sentinel, where there's a category of the
'cause-
blast sets in Sentinel that are good to pick, and there's a category of the blast sets that are bad. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, because like for Stalker, every primary has a build up and an Assassin Strike. Sentinel, every set has an aim and a T3 blast.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just that in a world where you can pick a blaster and a corruptor, you'd be hard pressed to select a Sentinel over that.
As the game gets harder, hybrid roles become less and less useful.
Yeah. It's harder to make the case for having the Sentinel on the team as opposed to why wouldn't you just have a blaster?
Yeah.
Um
The only one that gets a pass is Corruptor because functionally it's similar to Defender. And the number values are not so significant in terms of difference that the Corruptor is just flat out worse than the Defender because Scourge makes up for the lower
yeah.
secondary numbers.
That's the easiest way for me as to why Corruptor makes up the it's cuz it can crit.
Because the Corruptor is hybrid. It's just that it's a hybrid that is designed well.
Yeah. As opposed to Sentinel,
As
which is
opposed
kind of
to the
just like, what the
Sentinel.
heck is this thing?
It's that Sentinels are literally just scrappers, but worse.
Yeah.
They're not even. I don't know. I don't even think that's a good designation. They're just bad.
Yeah, you know. Okay, well here's another thing to consider too. If you're-
Everything's passable at low power levels, though.
If you're playing on a challenge team, right? Like let's say we all got together and we said we're going to run the Aeon 4-star, no repeat archetypes. And we're
Yeah,
also
then
going to
it's
make the rule of saying 2 supports, 2 tanks, 4 damage. It's not the most optimal decision.
Frog rules.
But with Blaster, Stalker,
rules.
and then Scrapper or whatever, a Sentinel would have a place on the 4 DPS team because the Sentinel would make the other 3 DPS better.
You would still have to sit down and. Nah, yeah, I guess.
I think
I
I still prefer
still
the Dominator.
I was gonna say I still think that you could make a case for the Dominator. I think the 4th slot is interchangeable.
No, if you ask me, I'll always want to play a Dominator on that. I prefer Dominator much more. I'm just trying to
but
say
in that scenario, you're right. I just think that that 4th slot is interchangeable between Sentinel and Dominator.
Yeah,
for
but I mean, you're kind of making the
damage.
case where the only case where you take a Sentinel is a case where you'd more or less have to.
Well, because the Dominator, it's kind of ends up in the same situation. Because like in a perfect world, you just bring support, damage, tank.
this is a whole nother can of worms that we can talk about sometime. But the other problem with Dominator is that you can't trust that the Dominator will be good damage unless you know that they're properly slotted or they have a good secondary.
Yeah, and Domination lets you combat a lot of the anti-control effects and challenge content.
Yeah. Yeah, so... But on the 4-man damage team,
Yeah, the
it's
Sentinel can
possible
have a
that the
spot.
Sentinel could have a role.
Yes.
It's possible.
It is possible. It's just that, man. I'm sorry. It hurts in the perfect world
Yeah.
where there are no repeated archetypes. Yes.
Cause like, okay, think of it this way. They're 4-man damage team, right? If we want to have no melee damage, we'd have, well, it's really hard to go against a Stalker, right? But
Why don't you just make a rule that one of them has to be a Sentinel?
no. But I'm saying if it was based on the level of content, right? I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
saying
yeah.
there could be a world in which you really don't want to bring a melee DPS. Then you could have a Blaster, a Dominator, a Sentinel. You see what I'm saying, right? There's
end up-
combinations where it's possible that would occur, and if the Sentinel is there, it will make the other damage better.
In a perfect, like, if there were a challenge setting that forced that kind of rule set, all 4 of the damage would be blasters, baby.
No.
All 4 of them would be
You're just
blasters.
Under
Or stalkers. All 4 blasters are all 4 stalkers.
Stalker has really
The
good
triple
damage
stalker
output.
was fun. That was fun.
Yeah. And it's because the Stalker can do comparable damage to the Blaster in melee.
Well, also you really start to notice just raw DPS, multiple assassin strikes going off.
Yeah. We did that, the Dr. Khan,
That was amazing.
where,
That was baby content,
yeah,
but it was still amazing to watch.
yeah. Yeah. See, yeah, and the other thing about Stalker, which makes it even better, is the fact that its ATOs are amazing.
Yeah, it just changes the way the AT
It
plays.
actually makes you function like a real MMO like class.
Like, imagine if Blaster had an ATO proc that doubled the effects of Defiance.
Yeah, that would be great.
Instead of the really janky...
Mag 1 hold
No.
protection.
Yeah, instead of that, it had, like, all of your Defiance bonuses are doubled. You're just like, yeah, let's go, buddy.
Wait. It's a Mag 1?
Yeah, dude, it's Mag 1 stackable stun protection.
I had no idea.
It's so bad.
What are you talking about?
The Blaster ATO.
The Defiant Barrage proc.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I never knew that. That's so
Man,
funny.
the Defender ATOs work the same way as that Corruptor proc. And I'm not gonna lie, they go off almost never. And their benefits are negligible.
So
But this is speaking at a very high level. In low level content, whenever it goes off, I just kind of shrug, like, yay, it went off. But in high level content, I don't notice it because it doesn't make a difference.
yeah. So we talked about range blast sets, primarily between Blaster and Corruptor. we didn't talk about them with other stuff because as soon as you start to talk about the other archetypes, it's a lot more complicated. Like, yes, Widow does technically have Psy Blasts, but it's all intermixed with different abilities, and they have some melee attacks. And yeah, Peacebringer and Warshade also have blast attacks, but it's special and unique to them. So this is more universal coverage of Blaster and Corruptor share the same sets, so you can evaluate what's better or what's good on
Yeah.
each of them based on that.
Well, let me talk about the status effect thing. So when we talk about a high level, it's assumed that the team is already going to have some form of status protection that is spammed. Not incarnates, but just there is some form of status protection always being applied to the team
Yeah.
for the purpose of avoiding any disruption.
Yeah. It's not a bad idea to have more utility in your build, which is like, I can get that status protection. But let me put it this way, Malice. We can either slot that thing and get the 1, right? The 1 status magnitude. Now, let's say we go into that 4-star level content, right? The enemy hits me with Char, and it's held me. And it's like mag 3 or 4 or whatever it is, right? My 1's not going to help me. But
Yeah.
if I have a support set, if somebody on the team is support and they hit me with Clear Mind, that's 10
plus 12.
or 12, whatever it is.
It's like 11.4
So,
or something.
You know, instead of using a slot for that, I could slot for more damage instead, and the support set will take care of me. So that's just the difference of the perspective.
Yeah.
Work as a team, baby.
Work as a team. Get it
Yeah.
on.
We've actually had a Whittle build for the Psyblast part of it.
The Fortunata is playable, but I do believe that the Widow is far too weak and a product of when it was created.
Yeah.
The
It can
Fortunata-
function, but it doesn't have the same
The
presence.
well, the Widow just doesn't have. It's like a really bad claws scrapper that attempts.
You're talking
to
about the Night
have-
Widow.
The Night Widow, yes, that attempts to have Docker mechanics that are non-functional.
Well, the problem with the Night Widow is that
It's just
you get one big attack and then you can't hide again like with procs, and you don't
I
have an
wouldn't-
assassin
yeah.
strike.
like the ATOs don't fix it at all.
Yeah.
Like it's not like Stalker where the ATOs totally change the way you play and it fixes downtime that the AT used to have.
Yeah.
Night Widow is just really poorly thought out. It's when I think of Night Widow, I think of the Sentinel, where there was no thought behind what this hybrid character was supposed to do besides the fact that it has leadership and it has really gimmicky mechanics from other functional archetypes that don't work when they're mixed together poorly.
You know, Malice, you are correct. You know, 8 Widows, 8 Arachnos people on a team with all the leadership buff, it can be fun. But that's only for content like, you know, doing the radios or doing a conventional ITF even at +4. If you go to 4-star content and all you have is leadership, like if you do AE challenge and all you have is leadership, you're going to die.
I mean, he's probably also thinking about incarnates to try and fill any support holes, but like when you turn on enemies buff with 4-star, you're immediately going to notice when there's a downtime in the barrier window, and you're also going to immediately notice that even though you have like defense cap when Vengeance goes off or you stack Vengeance or whatever, that the enemies still have a really high chance to hit you because of the accuracy bonus, which is preventing them from suffering from soft cap,
Yeah, like
traditional soft cap.
like a boss with enemies buffed, I think caps out like their hit will never go below like 15 or 16%.
Yeah,
Which on
Like,
an
that's
enemy is
huge.
devastating.
that's 15 or 16% versus the regular, like what is it, 6.25? The accuracy bonus is that powerful in 4-star.
Yeah.
That their base level hit value is now 15%
Mm-hmm.
versus 6.25.
Yeah. And so, with that kind of thing in mind, is the reasoning why certain blast sets are put in the place that they are. It's the concept of it all.
It's a simple concept. I couldn't resist. It was there.
Simple concept.
I had to say it. I had to say
Well,
it.
the thing is, well, first of all, I always play the same character. I only play one character. And that character ensures that status effects have no detriment on the team. I would be more than likely the only person that would be affected by any kind of mez
I was
Mhm.
just gonna
at
say.
all.
I was like, you give it to others.
Yeah, so if they threw out the confused like that, I would end up being the only one confused.
But
Not that it would
see,
actually do anything, but
it's like it's a problem where we can't have it all, because when I've played support with you and been able to help you out in that regard, sometimes it's been incredible to be
It's
able
been
to
really
ensure
nice.
that you are not going to get mezzed.
yeah, because if I get stunned, I also use flight as utility, and the downside to flight as utility is that if I get mezzed and I'm not prepared for it, I go sliding off, and when you slide off, you usually die.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because it's not like running or jumping where you're just dead. Like you actually gain momentum when you get stunned while you're flying.
It's always funny
It's
to see
bad.
that. Just ice skating. Woo!
Yeah, and you're gone.
Yeah.
So that's the only time status protection is really important.
Floating
For
dick
me?
burst into an enemy mob.
Yeah, is when I just
You
I get
fly on in
stunned
there
and
and
I'm
just
not
get
ready for it.
destroyed.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, sorry, I interrupted you.
You
No,
made
it's
a great
fine.
point, team.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you.
You're
I'm
a
a
great man.
proud City of Heroes player.
You're so proud.
You're a great man.
Raise your flag, team. God.
So does that covers it all for the range damage, huh?
No, Defender is the same as Corruptor, but I would place Rad higher for Defender.
But see, but that's completely different. We're talking about like range. Well, okay. I guess I did title it range blast here. So here, hold on. For
Because
blaster
damage
or
is-
for defender though, to me it's a completely different metric.
Look, before Sonic got nerfed, I was very, very happy to put. I would be very happy to put it in S. It was extremely strong. But then it got nerfed, despite the
Oh.
developers claiming that they buffed it.
The fact that they claimed they buffed it was the funniest shit to me.
There we go.
I mean, they made it a slightly better Sonic or Blaster set. I mean, great
Alright.
job, guys.
All right, CJ. What's the change?
Okay, well, Ice stays in S because Ice is strong.
Yeah, I still like
Radiation goes to S. Because you care more about the utility. Sonic goes to B. Because it's still usable.
that. What about
Just out
dark?
of raw utility. Dark actually goes up.
A?
I can't put it in S. But I will put it at the top of A.
Okay.
Based solely on raw utility.
Okay. Everything else moving, or is this it?
I think this is pretty similar.
You think
Um,
archery is all the way up here as a defender?
I mean, I really don't have an opinion on Defender Archery, if I'm being totally honest. I actually think that Fire and
put
Archery
it
go
down
down
here.
to B.
I think archery. Yeah, I think archery can go and C. Fire
Fire
It's
would
probably going
still just
B,
be
just
in B
because-
because of raw
because
damage.
fire. Yeah, fire is just the damage set, and that's a lot less important on a.
And I would
defender.
put Sonic probably at the top of B just because of utility.
What about seismic?
Seismic, I can see bottom of A or top of B.
Just tell me how to move this stuff here. Because for A, we got dark and seismic.
Oh no, darkness totally gets so like you're more than likely gonna pick up power boost on a defender than you are a corruptor. So dark gets an incredible amount of utility because you're constantly cycling power boosts, and if you power boost Black Star,
Yeah,
on a
here.
f-
Let
like
me
a f-
pull up the defender. Dark blast here. Where is it?
yeah, so
That's dark man.
So-
Okay. Dark blast. Here we go. Black star.
dark blast
Right there. At base.
minus 62.5, and then you're more than likely gonna take power boost on a defender. More than likely you're gonna take power boost. Some people might take power buildup, but I think power boost is more valuable unless your set just does not benefit from power boost.
Yeah.
Like your primary.
So at base, no slotting whatsoever. It's already at negative 62.50.
Yeah, and power boosted it goes up to like 112. It doesn't quite go to 125. It goes up to like 112, 114, somewhere in there. Because power boost isn't a true 100%. It's not like 118% like it is on controller.
Yeah.
It's more like 91, 92, something like that.
Is that
But
it
yeah,
for
fully
A? It's just dark and seismic?
Seismic.
I don't know if this is A.
Seismic's not A. I'm trying to figure out whether it goes in B.
I think it goes in B.
It goes
I think
in B.
seismic is pretty close to fire, except it's maybe a little bit better than fire just because there is some minus defense in it.
I'm gonna put something here, okay?
I can see.
I think water is A.
Do you mean the Dominator seismic assault set, or do you mean like the seismic manipulation set for Blaster? And yeah, I can see water going to A, but oh, the Blaster manipulation set. Well, honestly, all you really take from your Blaster set, your manipulation set, is your endurance management power, your build-up, and if one of the attacks is actually good and only takes like 1 second to animate, you pick that up too.
Yeah, so
But
here, I'll go over
Earth-
quick to Blaster.
Yeah, Earth manipulation is actually really good.
So what you're talking about is true for the most part. So like heavy mallet and all that stuff, you don't even need to be concerned
Oh
about
yeah,
it.
most of the set's garbage.
What you're gonna
But-
pick is you pick build up, mud bath, barrel crystals, and then if you want seismic smash.
You probably should just pick up seismic
Because
smash. I mean,
seismic
it's
smash,
great.
see, like in terms of like damage per animation and stuff, seismic smash is far and away better than any of the other attacks you could get.
Because I mean, for the blast set, like as a blaster, all you really care about is your core set, build up from your manipulation set, endurance management from your manipulation set, and any unique toggles. Everything else in your manipulation set is honestly trash, and is only good at doing two things: killing minions and wasting slots. And if you're good at killing minions, you are not doing hard content.
Yeah, no, we're talking about you need to be able to really kill
Yeah,
something.
like Tremor's terrible, Salt Crystals is terrible, Heavy Mallet's terrible DPA, Stone Prison actually has utility.
Yeah.
I mean, all the Blaster immobilizes have some utility.
Okay. So the reason I put water up here is because you can proc the heck out of it. It's got tons
it
of
going, I
AoEs
gotta
and
get a
everything, so
refill.
it's really easy to spread like minus resistance stuff. And it has like side utility. It's got negative defense, it's got self-healing and dehydrate. It does have, I'd say, reasonable damage output. Oh no, he's talking about the seismic blast, right? When you say seismic assault. Seismic blast. If you're talking about Seismic Blast, I would definitely recommend giving it a try again, because as a blaster, Seismic Blast is pretty competent. It's just that it has a lot more micromanagement to it. If you don't want to waste your build up on recharging powers and you want to have a build up, you gotta jump to avoid the little earthquake or whatever, so that when you pop it, it doesn't consume it. It requires a little bit more micromanagement. And
Yeah, the only power in Seismic that I would consider slow is Entomb, and it's not the worst, but it is a little on the long side.
But is that correct for the rest of Defender? Sonic, Electric, Seismic, Beam, Fire? Is that right?
I think you can make a case. I don't necessarily would put it straight there, but you can make a case for Electric in A.
Really, what you care more about as a defender is the secondary values of what your blast set is doing, and if it has at least 2 competent attacks, you can rotate.
Yeah, okay. Here, I'll make this real simple for all of us, okay? With Defender, the question is how much secondary effect power and how much utility do I bring to the team? And then in addition to that, does it do, if I can't have that, does it do good damage? Ice does both of that, which is why it's up here. And Rad has the best team help, like team utility, out of like all of this stuff. So that's why it's here.
Yeah, on Defender, Rad gets the best of both worlds. It's pretty insane. I would have actually put Sonic up there over Rad before the changes, but then after the changes, like Sonic's now in B sucks.
Now, with Defender, for A tier, it's like a sharp divide in that kind of regard, because Dark is like supreme utility, but its damage, you know, I mean, you can do damage, but but as in terms of utility, this thing is amazing.
You can do damage like CJ's Hecatomb Slotted Brawl does damage.
Yeah, buddy, I got that.
Now,
Hecatomb
but water is like if you had Dark's it's like Dark Light. It's the light version of utility with Dark, but it has better damage than Dark does. And then as soon as you get down here, it's like everything becomes ambiguous. Like right when you hit this line with Beam and Fire, this is where the Defender says, okay, if I can't have utility, I need damage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, below that's where it starts kind of faltering on both fronts.
Yeah, so this is pretty much the dividing line. Because the only utility you get with Beam is negative regen, and as soon as you get here, it's over.
Anything that we scale is based on 8 people doing something that's meant to destroy your self-confidence.
Ice support for defenders. Are you when you say ice support, do you mean ice blast or do you mean cold domination?
He's talking about cold domination.
Oh yeah, cold domination's great.
Yeah, I really don't care if anybody plays the game solo. That doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
Sad.
Yeah, this kind of tier list discussion is talking about team setup. So we're doing challenge content, especially if it's like, you know, 4-star level ITF or ASF on a full team or even half a team size. So 4-man, doing a 4-star, enemies buffed, all that kind of stuff. Really, you're pushing the envelope as to like, here's some real credible challenge. And when you do that, then you start to see, okay, here's the chinks in the armor. This set can pull, or this set can hang with the best of them, or this one can't. That's the setup.
Man, I miss when Sonic was solid S tier.
Because of its debuff
Looking
power.
at this, yeah.
I miss when it was just S. It was straight S. God.
Yeah, so I'll just draw a line here. Before the Sonic changes, S was up here. After the Sonic changes, it's down here.
And that B is
because
it hurts.
Generous.
If I go to Defender and I go to
it's I would consider it to be
Sonic
generous.
Blast. If I go here, right? You see this on Dreadful Whale where it does the -12 and -8? Or sorry, that's Screech. -12 and -8. This used to be way bigger. This
Fat
number right
20,
here.
and it didn't care on. So they capped how many times you can stack with a single target debuffs, and they lumped Shriek, Scream, Shout, and Screech into the same single target pool. Now, had they put Screech in a separate pool and just had Shriek, Scream, and Shout in a separate pool, it would have been fine. But no, they lumped Screech in because they want you to try and take Howl. For whatever reason, they want
They wanted you to be
want
able
you
to fight
take Howl.
targets by yourself. Like they want you to kill things. CJ.
God damn
Not
it,
the
Udi.
blaster.
Stop.
I need
stop,
my team to
stop
be
shy.
No, everything that they did to Sonic was just they should have just changed it for Blaster. It
Yeah.
was fine the way it was for Defender and Corruptor. They did not have to change it.
Mm-hmm.
For Blaster, it improved it a little bit. But they screwed up making Howl and Shockwave appealing. And Siren's song is still awful. Even with the boost they gave it. So. And they totally destroyed the nuke. The nuke used to be a fat 20. It is no longer a fat 20.
It's kind of interesting
I-
to see how the sets shape up between these lists. Yeah.
Well, they
Well,
got worse.
Well, see, here's the thing, Malice, is that the damage component of it didn't matter for a defender. The defender loved the
Man, I
negative
loved it.
resistance value.
It was so fat. It was so
Like-
good.
Like okay, here, let me paint it another way. Defender has the best resistance debuff values in the game because they fight against
Versus
Purple
Purple
Patch the
Patch.
best, right?
Yep.
So like normally, right? Let's say we're playing the game and I'm a tank and I'm gonna hit them up with a negative resist. My -20 resist, it's gonna get put to like 6 or something like that, right? If we're
Yep.
talking about really hard content. The defenders, if the defender hit with the same 20%, it's going to be like 18, 17, whatever, right? It's not going to be as heavily resisted. So because of that, when Sonic Blast was really strong as a defender and they had higher values, that meant that when they were hitting a mob, the value on it was still substantial versus everything else that could be debuffing. So the defender made the team's damage multiplied, right? Because they're hitting with the negative resistance, and the negative resistance isn't getting resisted as hard because of their archetype values. But when they changed it so that Sonic
Yeah.
has less resistance debuff potential, it doesn't matter that the defender itself is technically dealing more damage. The whole entire team is now dealing less damage than they used to.
Yep.
So that's the difference.
And buffing the blaster's damage is more important than you dealing a little bit more damage. Because he is already dealing more damage than you ever will.
Yeah. Yeah, it won't, it's not even comparable. So it just made it worse overall. Whereas Sonic
Yeah, it
used
did.
to be S tier because it was a damage multiplier and the best damage multiplier. Now, I mean, you get a little
It's
bit of
very
resistance debuff
mediocre.
out of it, but not like you used to.
And they changed the way Screech worked too, which makes me sad. I mean, Screech now is whatever. It's great for Blaster. But when Screech had a higher stun duration, because I think I would have to log in and check, but I think my duration is now like 17 seconds, whereas before it was about 23. So,
I have another potentially controversial thought here.
I'm curious.
I think
not.
Sai is better as a defender than this. I think it goes up here and archery goes down.
I was actually gonna say that earlier. That I could see a case for Siving and C.
Because Sai
Yeah, I
still
agree
does
with
have
this.
the negative recharge on it. The Psy Blast. And it is still Psy damage.
Yeah, and they have really strong minus recharge because of defender values. Look at Psywhale.
Negative 87.50.
Yep.
Yeah, it's negative. Yeah, see, like Mental Blast alone is negative 37.50.
Yeah, it's pretty strong.
Dang.
And it's hard stacked. So
That actually puts a lot of value on Psy Tornado. Because you can hit 16 targets with
Man,
negative
that animation,
37.50.
though. That animation, and it takes time before the attack actually hits.
Yeah. Well, Psy Scream right there, negative 62.50. Dude. That's like,
Yeah, but look at the cone degree.
I know.
It's awful, man. I've lived with 30-degree arcs. They're terrible.
But
Now,
no,
if we put a
I
1
think
in
this
front
is...
of it.
Actually, given that, I think Psy is better than Energy in that regard.
Well, yeah. I would actually change Psy and Fire.
Really, you think Psy is up here versus Fire?
Because Fire doesn't do anything. With the Defender, you have a lot of plus value on what your set brings to the table with its secondary effects.
Does that mean
Yeah,
the
that looks
dots,
about right.
Does that mean that the dots would do more damage?
No.
Oh,
Because that's damage, Wobble.
that would have been cool. Like your dots do like stupid damage.
That doesn't make any
They
sense,
do stupid
though.
damage.
No, but I mean like the secondary
dots.
effects. The secondary effects
My
of
dots.
fire's dots. Whatever, man. It
dots,
made sense in
mommy.
my head.
You're like fucking baby cakes from China, Illinois.
I have no idea what that means.
Baby cakes. Baby cakes. Baby cakes.
If that's true, then wouldn't you move Seismic down here?
I think Seismic has a bit more utility because of the minus
yeah.
defense.
And it has hard spammable minus flight.
Is that
Very
the order here?
Yeah, I think this is about right. And I think B is interchangeable.
For Electric being better than like Beam and Psy?
No, not better. I think B is interchangeable. I think Sonic is at top of B though because minus res is still minus res.
Mm-hmm.
But I think those sets in B are interchangeable and they each bring something different. Now, if we had to order them,
Get him a pizza.
I think it goes like Psy. I actually think Psy is higher than the other sets in B besides Sonic. Then it would go Beam, then Electric, then Seismic. So yeah, I think it goes Psy, Beam, Electric, Seismic. Because there's a lot of utility that you can manipulate in Beam Rifle that you don't care about as a Corruptor.
I see.
Yeah, that looks about right.
Yeah, like I said, it's interesting how the sets shape up between the different archetypes. With Ice being the only one that retains its position, pretty much.
It's just good, dude.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting.
It's just good. I think a lot of that has to do with Blizzard being ridiculous.
It's what made playing my Storm very good too. Because even as a defender, I could still reasonably kill stuff. And when you hit Blizzard and you've slotted it for -2 hit, dude, that's like just as good as a Liquefy. The negative here, let me like pull it up. I'm still on Defender, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe Blizzard's -20 base.
-36. Then it also does some slow.
I think Blaster's 20.
Yeah, like slotting this for -2 hit, it's pretty good. It's a good patch. It's just overall a very solid set.
What is it on Defender? Is it still -20 or is it -30?
No, it's negative 36.
Wow.
Base.
Wow. I don't think you can slot it for 2-hit though.
I thought you could.
Can you?
Here, I'll
Of
log
course
on my
you would think
I'll
that.
log on my storm and see.
Yeah. Let's check this real quick. Ansem.
Yeah.
Ansem just sitting there. Darkness.
Come,
Oh, that's
open your heart.
yeah, accurate to hit debuff. To hit debuff.
Oh my god, I'm so far behind in the stream. I got hit the
Oh wow, you
refresh.
can, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, I'll kill the. Well, no, actually, I'll just leave him there. It's fine. But yeah, you can slot it for to hit debuff. Now I did it on this character because all the slotting was specific, but you get the idea.
And plus, you don't need all that extra strength too with the way that we play.
It does have that weird thing going for it where, as soon as your power buildup or as soon as your power boost goes away, it also loses it.
At least power boost comes
Oh.
back quickly.
Yeah. So if you use it, you want to pop power boost after the blizzard.
No, if you do it after, it won't get any benefit at all.
Yeah, you
Oh,
wanna
really?
do
It
so
doesn't do that?
Yeah, because
Okay.
it has to inherit it.
All right, then never mind.
Yeah, it inherits it with remaining duration, so you need to hit it right before.
Yeah.
Guys,
What
now
does
we're
the
at
value
live
go
stream.
into the detailed info when you hit power boost? Does it update in the detailed info?
I don't think
Actually,
it does.
Here, you got
You
a
only
power.
need
No, it did.
analyzer.
It did. 43.20.
Very nice. That's actually fat.
And that's with no slotting on the 2-hit debuff at all.
Yeah, with slotting,
Yeah.
you probably get to like -60.
And you can burn out
Big-
that too.
Yeah, so you can basically turn it into like unslotted Black Star.
Yeah.
The Black
But
Star
it's
is,
much
like,
safer.
2.5. Yeah.
And then you're not playing Dark Blast.
The void
Oh,
debuff,
man.
void judgment.
Yo, what's up? It's Tony Pizza.
My god, Tony Pizza. Yeah, I would like to see Sonic go back to S tier, but that's never gonna happen. I live in B tier for the rest of my life.
It's been nerfed.
I'm carried by my primary.
Pretty much.
Oh, you didn't have to say that out loud, Aaron. You're a dick.
He knows it. He said it.
That doesn't have. You don't mean. You don't have to
Yeah,
add
it
on
does
top
suck.
of it.
It does suck, but I accepted it. I didn't quit the game. I was thinking about it though. But then I said to myself, I'm gonna be here until I see how they change empathy. And when they screw that up completely, then I'll leave.
Yeah, that will definitely be a I cannot play this moment.
I still don't understand how I picked Sonic Blast, and it's the one thing they decided to change that I thought was safe, and they just would never care about it. I thought I was safe. I thought I would just forever have Sonic Blast the way it is, and I could just live my life in peace. But no,
That was a mistake.
the developers had to TP my bunghole.
Yeah.
Dude.
It's true though. I got.
No, you don't
I got-
understand because if he was Rad Blast Wolvel, he would like not even care.
I wouldn't care. I would just do whatever. I'd do more damage. Cause I could just sit there and proton or fucking proton volley cosmic burst all day long.
And it would synergize very well with all the to hit you're giving us.
Yeah. But man,
Oh my god, this is just brutal.
damn.
I know you're loving this chat right over here, aren't you?
What the hell are you doing over there, Wool?
I'm playing a factory video game, dude.
What the heck? If you're good at, if your goal is DPS, you aren't playing a stalker in the first place. What the hell?
That's what I was saying. I know you're
What
loving
the
that discussion
hell?
over
I
there.
need to
Oh,
hold on a
that.
second.
Oh no.
Hold on. Okay, now I have a reason to play the game.
Oh no.
Hang on, I'll join you.
Oh no.
So, is that the conclusion of the discussion?
I think that's
Yeah.
pretty much it. I think that closes it out. I don't really have anything else to add. I think this is very solid. The only thing I think you could probably argue is electrical versus seismic, but that's about the, or, well, you could maybe argue about why water is an A. I think Aaron already made his case, but, other than that, everything else here is solid for Blaster, Corruptor, and Defender. It reflects a lot of what we've done. I think the only thing I'm really proud of is the F tier. It's very accurate.
I
You
I
know,
agree. I agree with what you guys have decided for Blaster. This is only about Blaster. I'm not talking about the other ones. You guys have decided that Assault Rifle is an F on a Blaster, but in my heart of hearts, I will always believe that Assault Rifle is still a D as a
It's
Blaster.
okay. Your heart is incorrect.
But in Kingdom Hearts, our hearts can't be correct. They're always right.
Wait, no, you said that backwards.
What?
Did no one else? This is just like Lightning Blast earlier.
I said, but in Kingdom Hearts, our hearts can't be wrong. What are you talking about?
What? I never mentioned Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, that's because I did.
Oh my god, here you are projecting your Kingdom Hearts all over the place.
No, you don't understand, Wovel.
You said you can go back and watch it.
I
You
don't-
said
I
your
don't
heart
wanna
is
be-
wrong.
This
I-
is his sanctuary.
This
My
Can't-
sanctuary,
Ah!
yeah. No, that's what we were saying, Mouse. We had a big discussion on the Blaster side as to whether or not Assault Rifle was a D or an F. And I thought that it was a D. But Mez and CJ decided or believed that it's an F. So, based on group consensus, that puts Assault Rifle in an F. But it's better than dual pistols.
like you're
But
grading different types of shit.
that's already been a decided discussion, so it's not something as a closing remark. Do you have any closing remarks, Mez?
Not really.
What
I think
about you,
it's it.
Wovel?
I think it's an archive.
Yeah, let me look over this.
I mean, I think we did try to make this for general hard content because again, if we do anything specific, like Torchlight, which really penalizes playing Psy, there are going to be situations where these move up and down, but I think we try to capture the general hard content scale here because I said like also, if we're talking about radio missions like just regular basic content in this game, the tiers bottom out at C. Like you can't go that wrong when the hardest thing you're fighting is like a +4 boss without any crazy buffs.
Dude, you got it right on the nose. Dual pistol, almost not effective. That's entirely true.
It is the ultimate minion masher
And it's
in
crazy
regular
to think,
content.
and it's crazy to think that dual pistol's got a significant buff since it was first released,
Yeah.
where the animation
Damn.
times for all the powers are almost twice as long as they are now.
The minion masher.
Yeah, that's what. Like, if you want to feel really good about killing minions, then pick dual pistols because somebody somewhere is gonna chart your minion killing, and they're gonna say that you have top DPS.
Yeah.
Because you are the minion mincer, the masher, the destroyer.
The minion mincer. Yeah. Well, so that's the end of it.
I
Range tier
disagree
list
with everything in
discussion.
Defender.
range tier list discussion between Blaster, Corruptor, Defender, seeing how they all rank up with the thought in mind of doing challenge content. So that's either challenge AE or plus 4-star ITF ASF with challenge settings on, all the stuff, all the bells and whistles. We'll stop instigating problems in the chat. No, dude. Malice has it perfect. Malice has it exactly right. Minion mashing and then the boss remains and you got 2 pistols.
That's this entire game outside of challenge content. You're either the ultimate minion destroyer, or like people think that you're bad damage because of the common content that people run. Like you either kill minions or you're bad. There is no
kill minions are bad.
Yeah, you're really good at killing minions and lieutenants, and then the lore pets kill the bosses.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's it there. That's the range tier list discussion.
That closes it out.
Yeah, probably talk about something else at some point, but that's it for now. So I'm just gonna kill the stream.